Can I call upon Mr. Sameer Pitalwala, CEO Culture Machine? That was quick. Also, Mr. Abhijit Saxena, CEO Mobilogs. So, all yours.
Good morning, all of you. I think it's a perfect Sunday, don't you think? It's a perfect Sunday morning, when some of you went for a heritage walk, we are told. Some of you went for a boat race. And all of you had, I believe, Nikita was telling me that the boats had the drums also, I believe. That was really good. And some of you went for the safari, I believe, the one we are. How many of you really saw the tiger? Because that's becoming exclusive.
Only one person.
Only one person saw the tiger. So fair enough. That's okay. There's another chance in life as well. But, this perfect Sunday morning, so you had some good fun in the morning. And again, another set of a good fun is going to happen as a part of this session, where we're going to discuss entertainment. What better way to start a Sunday to start discussing about entertainment, and more so in context of what World Economic Forum and Global Shapers call is a fourth industrial revolution, which essentially is all about technology and its impact on the human race, so to say. As a part of the session, we have three very distinguished gentlemen. Mr. Sameer Pitalwala, who's the CEO Culture Machine. We have Parveen Singhal, who's a co-founder and the CCO VT Feeds. And we have Mr. Abhijit Saxena, who's the CEO of Mobilogs. I call these three gentlemen as the transformers of the digital world as of now, as so many of young, bright entrepreneurs and digital evangelists the world over are. They have been, bite by bite, really blurring the boundaries between physical as well as the virtual world. But they're not doing it in a dull and drab way. They're really understanding who the audience is, who the viewers are. They're understanding the communities and the consumers are. And then they are tailoring or creating technologies as well as the content, which is changing and shaping the way that we are, seeing the world to happen. If we had a time machine, I was wondering in the morning as I thought that how do we start this session. If we had a time machine and we went back to, say, 2005, you'll have a different world altogether, and the way that we see the world today. So in 2005, you had YouTube, 1 year old. In today's time, you have a YouTube where 300 videos are being uploaded every minute. You had Netflix, which was only selling and promoting DVDs in packets, delivering at various homes in US. Today, what do you have? You have streaming, sharing, and there's a book which has been written by a gentleman in US, Pittsburgh University, and he talks about stealing as well. You had no Apple TV, you had no Roku. Today you have Apple TV, smart TVs, Roku and everything. You had no Instagram. Today you have an Instagram where 43,000 to about 50,000 photos are uploaded per minute. You had no Snapchat, you have Snapchat. You had no smartphones, you have smartphones of all varieties, all sizes, all colors. I think the world has changed. And some of the people, because we've been talking, some of the people who have studied in US and who know US well, there used to be a very huge video shops or stores called Blockbuster. Now, Blockbuster essentially had about 9,000 stores in US, 60,000 employees, big reach. If you get a Blockbuster video, you walk up to that store and get it. Today, the company has shut down. There's nothing like that. So the world has really, really changed. And changing that is the way the chaos has happened in a disruptive way, in a technology frame, in context to entertainment that we are talking about today. And I think that is true. So somebody called it a perfect storm. To discuss more, to understand more about it in context to the fourth industrial revolution and entertainment and how it has really brought about changes in our lives, we have these three gentlemen that I would wish them to be part of it. So we'll have their opening remarks, so to say. Then we'll have a couple of questions, and then I'll open the floor, all of you to raise any questions, any queries that you may have it. May I request Sami to start just throwing your ideas. What do you think about what's happening in the entertainment world and the way that technology has impacted us?
Thank you for that, and good good afternoon. Probably, I think the good way to look at it is see it from a lens of history. About 4 years ago, uh, like Doctor was saying, this is roughly only YouTube, which was there in the market. Now, cut to 5 years later, you have YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. All of these are video platforms. Videos pretty much become sort of the de facto standard of the way the internet operates, especially when it comes to social video. And within that itself, you have seen an explosion over the last 1 year in terms of audiences. So when we started the company, YouTube was doing about 40 million uniques per month. And this month alone, they'll be doing about 350 to 400 million monthly active uniques. So you've seen close to a 10 times jump in the number of users who use YouTube as a platform to consume content daily. Similarly, something like Facebook was, again, at about 40 to 50 million users. This month, it will be 300 million monthly active uniques. And video viewership in India used to be 3 to 4 billion video views a month. And now that's close to about 50 to 60 billion views a month. All of this in 4.5 years. So it's just basically exploded in terms of consumption. More so in the last 1 year, it has changed in the last 15 years with the arrival of geo and cheap data, plus obviously, like Doctor was mentioning, a perfect storm because of the number of devices that people use. So what's happened essentially is that your video viewing time used to be either theatrical or television, and that's now changed and got unbundled into something that you watch and see every day on your phones. And that's caused the market to explode to basically become close to about a 2,000 odd crore market minimum. And one expects, I mean, most people look at it as a $1 billion market already in terms of video as a overall sort of industry standard in terms of both digital video advertising and digital video creation. And we expect that to again grow by about triple over the next 2 to 3 years.
So whole idea is that, and this is just related to, because he was talking about amount of time that each of the viewers have it, and possibly amount of data which is being put up on the net and through various sites. How many of you have seen any movie since 1 month? How many of you? You guys have seen movies, right? I'm sure that you would have seen it. How many of you have gone to the theaters to see those movies? That's really good.
Yeah.
How many of you have actually seen the movie on the laptops or on your cell phones and things? I think on a random way, obviously those hands are more in terms of people who have seen it on their tablets and on their handheld phones and those things. But I'm pretty sure that when you would have gone to those theaters and the way the world of theaters is going to change, I'm sure that Praveen or Abhijit are going to chip in on that. I think the experiences that needs to happen in the theaters now on are going to dramatically change over the years. So you have 4Ds, 5Ds, and 7Ds coming into play. Walt Disney has done some amazing work in terms of creating those surreal virtual experiences within the theaters, where the Mickey Mouse actually throws the water on the screen, it comes to you and hits you. You guys would have seen it at Disneyland for that matter. They're trying to do it on the screens as well. So I wanted to kind of give it to Abhijit because he has been able to bring in mobile a big play into the world and the world of entertainment and technology that we are talking about it. So Abhijit, what are your opening views on things that we are discussing?
Thank you, Diwakar. It's very interesting because you talked about this time machine, right? And I myself have been part of that time machine. It kind of sounds that, of course, ages ago, 2005 sounds like ages ago. But really, if you see, I'll take you through that little journey through that time machine, and you will realize how things have actually changed with that time machine. So, cut to 2005, right? And interestingly, I was at Z at that point in time, and we were trying to do the entire digital play. And the discussion between me and Subhash Chandra was always that there's so much content which Z has, and how is it that you can actually use the digital platform, because the digital platform was just emerging at that point in time. Mobile was just a kind of a toy in everyone's hand, and no one really understood the potential of a device like that. So what we did was that back in 2005, the networks were, of course, 2G, right? And we had something called as Edge. I don't know how many of you really know what Edge was. Do you know what Edge is? Raise your hands who have. I expected that, right? People today would know 3G. So it was a mix and match of all that content on one channel. Today, of course, you have 100 channels dedicated to just movies. You have 100 channels dedicated to just songs and etc. But at that point in time, there used to be one channel which had all of these things. So we created a mix and match, sort of a channel for mobile. And we tested that on in Chandigarh. And you can't imagine that the first time when we saw a video on mobile, and that too when we were roaming around in our car in Chandigarh, it was an ecstatic feeling. I know you guys can't relate to that how can it be an ecstatic, something which is so normal today and so done today could be an ecstatic feeling, but really it was an ecstatic feeling at that point in time. But somehow, and as you can also see today, that it was a very, very before its time kind of a concept. The biggest opportunity was that there were hardly any subscribers on Edge at that point in time, so hence the data streaming was fine. But the moment you had 100 subscribers also, the buffering would start. So really it was not a viable kind of a technology. So which brings me to, three clear elements that you require for this entertainment shift to really happen. One is, of course, the networks, right? Which today we know have become significantly powerful. And as you all also possibly know, that there is tremendous amount of research which is again happening to make them even more powerful. Second is the handsets. At that point in time, they were primarily feature phones. Hardly anyone had smartphone, and no one had actually even heard of smartphones. And third was, of course, content. There was hardly any content. Now, today you imagine that all these three are actually in abundance. And that is the primary reason why there's a tremendous shift which has happened from content consumption from those larger television and theatrical screens to the mobile screens and the mobile devices screens. Again, one more interesting aspect was that when we did this experiment on Edge in Chandigarh, it was a tremendous successful experiment, but we knew that it was heading for failure because there was no opportunity, there was no subscribers that you could really get because there were hardly any people on Edge technology also at that time. So ultimately, we shifted from video content on mobile back to the old technology of SMS. And I don't know if you remember now the vast services which a whole bunch of these operators actually used to run on SMS. So there used to be news alerts, there used to be cricket alerts, there used to be, interesting Bollywood gossip alerts, a whole bunch of alerts which were happening. And I had moved on from Z at that point in time, and I had joined a company called Netcore. And there we launched these services. So again, shifting the channels from video-based channels for mobile, it became SMS-based channels. And they became so successful, so we had almost like 25 channels. So there was a news channel on SMS, there was a sports channel, there was a Shairi channel, and believe me, Shairi channel was one of the most successful one. And then there was, of course, Bollywood channel, and there were a whole load of, and then of course there was this Sensex channel as well. In a matter of 7 months, and it was a free service, in a matter of 7 months, we got 5 million subscribers on SMS at that point in time. Tremendously successful, but then tremendously cost ineffective because every SMS is a cost, and when it's a free service, it really doesn't make sense. Ultimately, in 12 months' time, we had to shut down the service because the cost was actually becoming very prohibitive and there was hardly any revenue to support something like that. But if we had those 7 million subscribers and the environment of what we have today, which is we could have easily converted these 7 million subscribers from an SMS-based service to an mobile internet-based service, from SMS text-based content to video and audio-based content, and it would have been a fantastic smooth transition there. But unfortunately, of course, we did not have that kind of capability. But that is the kind of transition that I have at least seen happening from that 2005 that you mentioned, Devakar, to date. Yeah.
That's phenomenal, actually. As you was, telling us about that, your kind of a time machine, what you saw, something came up, and which I'll try to, throw in Sameer after Parveen, talks about his experiences and the Witty experiences. And that relates to essentially where people have been kind of, debating that technology is actually killing storytelling. And more, I'm talking in terms of technology and entertainment in that context. So I'll come to you, Samir, post what. Praveen, what do you have to say about that?
So, hello everybody. First of all, if I will tell you about myself, I'm somebody from your generation actually. So you can relate to me, and I'm somebody who is in content from last 8 years now. So started this journey when I was 16. So when this era was happening in India and how content was actually revolutionizing and coming in the picture actually. So we started this in 2012 with a one Facebook page called Amazing Things in the World. Today that page is having almost like 5 million organic likes, and it's a huge user base on vtf.com also. Currently, VTFeed is doing almost 100 million unique visitor every month on website, and if talk about the video views, we are almost 200 plus million views again on all our social media properties. So if you talk about content consumption and how it is happening right now, so may I ask you how many people are from Bhopal here? Only few people. इधर की side कोई नहीं है भोपाल से? Nobody? Okay. So if I will talk you about the content realization and how it actually happened from last few years. Before few years, we doing consumption of content on books actually, right? हम बहुत मोटी-मोटी किताबें पढ़ते थे, right? वहाँ से वो किताबें पतली-पतली हो गई, right? वहाँ से वो एक मूवी की फॉर्म में बन गया. मूवी से वो एक शॉर्ट मूवी की फॉर्म में बन गया. And today like within like 1 or 2 minutes we want to consume that particular content. So now if you talk about content consumption, maximum of content is happening on videos right now, because we are this generation who want to consume content very fast, and we want to consume content ongoing when we are doing something actually. Example, I was coming from Indore today. It's a journey of around 3.5 hours. What I will do if I don't have anything right? So I have to do something. The best way of using that time is mobile phone, right? You have something in your hand and you can actually use it and watch something good when you are not having anything to do right now, right? So currently we are main focusing on videos only, and it's going really nice right now. If you talk about changing of content right now, when we talk about content, the main thing is coming videos right now, right? Because as sir told before some time कि how many people went to movies, मुझे याद नहीं है कि मैं पिछली बार मूवी कब गया था actually में, right? So now many people are actually not going to theaters and watching movie there, because they know that कि after some time it is available on internet. Same if you talk about the mainstreaming news media also, print is already dying, right? Everybody is knowing that. Same time, if you talk about TV channels, they are also now moving towards internet right now. If you talk, all the media houses started their own live sessions on social media properties with live with somebody, because they all know that that internet is more reachable, more fast and more efficient right now. So the content is moving from TV to now, of course, that mobile devices, and this is how that content consumption is also happening right now.
That's a good point, and you know, I'll come back to Praveen what you said, and because there is a kind of a lesson for all of us when we talk of technology and entertainment, and because the very word, that fourth industrial revolution, when you know, World Economic Forum and Global Shapers talk about. So the whole idea behind this particular phrase itself is there's a revolution happening, as we talked about the perfect storm or the chaos or disruption. So there is a revolution happening. Now, idea is, if we have to break it down and understand fourth industrial revolution vis-a-vis entertainment, how does it pan out? How does it break down? What are the elements of it which are actually impacting entertainment? Is a critical, you know, point to understand and really, you know, debate about. Samir, one of the things which was coming to my head, and I think because you have an amazing, you know, technology platform as Culture Machine, you're coming up with few things. You have patented technology. You're doing stuff. You're also on the side of the storytelling, because I know that you have sub-brands, as I was telling you about, which are very, very popular. What is a view on technology and storytelling when we talk of entertainment in that context? Anything that you would want us to know more about?
So if you look at sort of the largest media companies right now who are spending the most amount of money on content, both of those happen to be technology companies. Amazon and Netflix both are technology companies which have built media. So I'm not just the CEO, I'm a co-founder. So my other half of the company, the person who really helps with the machinery is Venkat. He's my co-founder. He's formerly from YouTube. So when we first began to talk about rebuilding a media company ground up, the idea really was about where do you deploy technology in order to scale it out. And most media companies deploy technology at distributing media. So like Abhijit was talking about it, most of them end up creating applications which can distribute the content. What really excited us, because we both came from backgrounds in which we had done this to death in terms of creating technology platforms to distribute it. He was at YouTube. I had done stuff at Times and at Disney for it, so that didn't really excite us. What we wanted to build was technology which could help with the creation of content. And we wanted to do that for video, which is much harder to do. So how many of you guys know about this brand called Being Indian here? Okay, great. And how many of the girls know about Blush? Okay, great. So both of those brands are owned by us. So when people look at the media brands are on the outside. They're powered by our technology platforms. And what we went around doing was 4.5 years ago, this wasn't sexy, which is basically machine learning and using machine learning in order to basically understand what kind of content to create. So we both came from a background where we wanted to understand how technology could help understand and interpret stories and then tell them at scale. We went around building sort of two technology platforms. The first one is intelligence machine. So it processes about 3 billion videos a day and about 7 billion comments around that. And through data science and machine learning, we basically extract information and are able to understand exactly the kind of format of videos which work, what kind of content needs to be created for any sort of given subculture community, which influencers does it need to work with. And it can actually give you a deep insight on that. So for example, if it's beauty content, what kind of content works well? Are beauty tutorials working well? Makeup, eye makeup, lip makeup, hair. Turns out the most popular formats of beauty content in India tend to be around skin makeup. And within that, especially in summers, the most amount of consumption happens around pimple, oily and acne. Compared to Indonesia, for example, where the most popular formats for beauty content tend to be around hijab makeup and eye makeup. So we are able to, and we can identify using this also what kind of influencers are working for that kind of creation. So it really gives us deep insights pretty much around the world. And today that technology is licensed by the likes of Barbie, Hot Wheels, Unilever, Pepsi, Pizza Hut, amongst others. So that's where the first technology actually uses data science and machine learning to tell us what to do. And the second one allows us to create it automatically at scale. So that's where video machine comes in. So what would take a human being about 2 days to create a video, we are able to do that in 15 minutes. So when you see a lot of those vertical videos on YouTube, Facebook, all of those from Being Indian or Blush, those are actually powered by our video machine platform, which can in 3 clicks tell you any story in an automated manner. So while that is the award-winning stuff that we do, we won 15 gold awards just in the last 7 months for content that we have done, whether it's on Blush or Being Indian. That's, whether it's with an Alia Bhatt or an Amitabh Bachchan, and that's sort of high-end productions which we do. We are able to kind of scale out a lot of the creation programmatically with using tools like Video Machine and others. So that's sort of the combination of the tech and the content piece, which pretty much we designed. That's pretty much where the name of the company comes from. Culture Machine really is, the machinery was really the bedrock to create culture programmatically.
That's very interesting because, the critics, as I started, talked about how technology is going to kill the story. Here's this one example where you utilize technology so well, and you created new technologies which were actually elevating and enhancing the kind of experience and kind of entertainment that we all want. And this thought actually had come from the fact is because somewhere I had, kind of read that the most of the blockbuster movies that you see, and especially from the Hollywood and now from Bollywood as well, are the ones which are franchisee, kind of stable. Transformers and Star Wars and whole lot of those particular thing. And there in that particular, scenario, this gentleman was saying that what has happened to those stories like Good Will Hunting and a whole lot of other movies which have, which had such a enduring kind of appeal for the audiences, where the movie's gone because they don't have so much of a VFX and animations, those things. Today's consumer, whether it is a child or it is an adult, wants whole lot of VFX to happen, whole lot of action to happen, whole lot of virtual realities to happen. And that's what really is overwhelming our senses when it comes to entertainment. But that's really not true, because there's this one case when he talked about utilizing technology to enhance the kind of experiences for a broader audiences, and something which is accessible to everyone, which is a very, in a theoretical way, which is democratizing entertainment. Related to this point, Abhijit, was because you have worked so much on the mobile side of technology. How do you think in an Indian context, mobile technology is creating new consumers and a new experiences for entertainment, in context of entertainment for the rural audiences? When I say rural audience, it means villages of India. How does it pan out, the impact of technology when it comes to rural India and in context to entertainment?
So yes, that's the shift that we really see happening. That the whole technology is percolating down, right? So something which used to be the domain of urban India for the longest time is actually percolating down. And in again, like I said, there are two primary ways. One is that there is better networks which are available in the rural India. Plus, there are better handsets which the rural India is able to afford and has access to again. So, which is creating again to, even right now, the situation is, it's not that the complete shift has already happened, that rural India is now consuming only videos and stuff like that. But it is actually a slight and a gradual shift which is happening. And I'll explain how and why that is there. So Levers did this very interesting concept called Kan Khajura, right? Yeah, right. So this Kan Khajura concept, are people aware of what the Kan Khajura concept is? Yeah, exactly. So I'll explain, since most of you don't know. So they also felt that, yes, the technology is actually reaching out to the rural audience. The handsets are reaching out to the rural audience, but yet the consumption on audio and the basic technology of voice is still the most far-reaching. So what they did was that they actually created a radio channel, an audio channel, and any consumer, which is a rural consumer, could actually give a missed call on a particular number at any given point in time during the day, whenever that they wanted to. Post the missed call, a call would get generated to that consumer, and a full IVR kind of an audio would play out for him. The capsules were created of half an hour and etc., where there were songs. Then there was intermittent advice, health advice, financial advice, education-related advice. And then there was intermittent, of course, advertising content of any of the products of Hindustan Lever. They did this experiment in UP and Bihar, and they saw a tremendous success there. Now, the key question is that if the technology has really percolated down, if the smartphones are reaching to the rural consumer, what was the need for levers to still go and do that? The primary reason being that, yes, the technology has percolated down, but it is very, very inconsistent technology still, which is available in the rural India. So hence, right now, voice solutions are still being worked on as far as the rural India is concerned. But yes, the gradual shift towards internet-based solutions are actually picking up pace there. Like a whole lot of you must be aware that today, and actually since quite some time, rural India, the success for a lot of FMCG was sachet pricing, right? Sachet products and sachet pricing. Telecom industry also did exactly the same thing, right? What they did was that they gave ₹1 per day kind of unlimited internet access on 3G, right? ₹1, ₹5, ₹10, and etc., depending on how much downloads were allowed to you. That actually boosted the whole consumption significantly, and that is where we see the consumption is growing. So on one side, voice continues to be there. There is this sachet pricing which is helping rural audience to at least experiment with internet-based content, and they're really enjoying that. And the third element which still continues is the offline mode, right? Where the small chips are given preloaded with a whole bunch of content. And again, there are a lot of content producers, advertisers, companies who are still providing those chips and distributing those chips along with a whole bit of video and audio content. So currently, rural is seeing a shift, but there is a confluence of all these technologies which are still playing out.
All right. That's a great example in terms of FMCGs and how, and sachet example which you're saying, because eventually that brings to the point that, globally, whatever we talk about, we say that, a new technology being created and then being deployed across the world, different geographies, different communities, and it has to work because that's an innovation in technology. But here's this point, even in a rural India, as he talked about, the fact is that even if you have a technology which is going to enhance your entertainment experiences or the content consumption experiences or patterns, idea is that as a digital evangelist or entertainers or for that matter, chain makers, we need to understand whether that particular technology has to have a deployment way in which local communities are able to accept it. So while something may work in a urban India, in a rural India, it was more related to, offline mode for that matter. So I'll call you on a mobile phone and then cut the phone and then expect that you'll call me back. So those things still play a part, which essentially means is that blindly ensuring that the new technology comes into play, the experiences would get elevated, people would accept technologies and use it. Is not correct, which means is that you need to deploy your insights and your understanding of the audiences and then relate it back and create platforms related to technology. I think that's something very interesting. Parveen, in your context, since you talked about how, people on a Kankhajura station, they were calling up and they were, there was kind of an engagement which was happening and then the content was being given it to them. So where is the crowdsourcing kind of a content generation related to entertainment happening? So, your platform actually has lots of that.
Yes, yes. So as we are talking about technology and content and storytelling, right? So for outsider, we are a media company. But if you talk about BTFeed inside, we are actually a technology company. We have built like huge tech behind BTFeed that is helping BTFeed what BTFeed is today actually. So as I told you before also, we started that Facebook page called Amazing Things. And after that, we started btfeed.com, okay. So in starting, we got around like 10 million and 20 million hit on btfeed.com, and it was doing perfectly fine. We were making profits and everything was super cool that time, okay. So then we thought how we can scale this overall process and how we can collaborate with many people at one platform and help them to build a community, one thing, and same time monetize their influencer activities actually. Okay, so we come up with a platform called viralline.com. That is our in-house technology which we have built. That is helping all the influencers to monetize their audience and same time providing relatable content to their audience. So now currently like we are working with almost 1 lakh Facebook pages. They are helping us to post our content on their social media properties and generating whole 100 million of traffic. We have some big influencers also, like celebrities in India and outside of India also. They are posting relatable content on their properties and putting their relatable content. So it's a technology which is helping us to generate that 100 million of unique visitors. Same time now it's come to the videos, right? As Samir also told, now videos are something that are consuming more than anything else, right? So as I will tell you, as a BTFeed, we started as a storytelling company, but today our main focus is towards videos because we know that that is not even in the future, that is the present of the content industry right now. and you have to produce as much as content you can produce in videos only. So we also come up with a technology where you just have to put the link of the story and click on the download button, it will give you the video within like 5 or 10 minutes. So you have to come up with innovations which when you want to be in the market, and right now the demand of the market is videos, right? So you have to produce. Right now, Facebook is focusing toward vertical videos, as Samir also told. So we are also focusing on that with the help of technology. And that's how technology is helping Vitifeed is 100 million today.
Right. So tell me one thing, and any of you can, kind of throw a light on that. And we were off the stage, we were talking of Dinchak Puja actually. And we were saying, had the technology and YouTubes and those things were not there, Dinchak Puja would not have been there, or possibly Lily Singh would not have been there. And we were kind of, casually discussing about Lily Singh going on to become really such a rage. And today she's ambassador, the message ambassador for UNICEF as well, across, in India actually. So tell me one thing, and do you think that technology and the way the consumers are able to access technology for entertainment, whether it is a written content or it is related to the video content or including music as well, do you think now is the time where, again, and I'm not talking about storytelling, what I'm saying is that do you think the kind of a music and the kind of entertainment we want to, listen to or view is being governed by the majority, because majority people have, in context of, say, Vitifeeds, you said people want a typical kind of a content and that becomes a big rage. Is it kind of, intruding into the quality of content which people classically used to talk about, a good film or a good music or a good video? From an aesthetic sense, people used to talk about it. Do you think that too much of our engagement with the consumers is actually diluting the quality of the content to some extent? What is available on the net, I'm saying. So
my point of view, number one thing, I think one of the drawback on internet industry is there is no filter of the content actually. No, right. Because you cannot control the content, what is happening on internet right now, okay? And what is going viral actually. And because, and number two is, see, we are in India, jahan pe, India is not only about like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, India is beyond that, right? So if you talk about tier 3 cities, tier 2 cities, people are not actually that much aware of quality content there, okay? And they are actually making that content viral. That is actually not even, wo hona hi nahi chahiye tha actually, then also they are making it viral actually. And because the size of audience is larger there, so you cannot control it, number one thing. And now, of course, Jio happened, so everybody is having smartphone and free internet connection. So that's how that internet population is growing right now. And जहाँ पे internet नहीं था, वहाँ पे भी internet आ गया है. And वो लोग वही अब सब viral कर रहे हैं जो actually में उनको मिल जाता है अब actually में.
So do you think that's the future of entertainment, Abhijit?
So like, it's actually not surprising. Okay. This is really not surprising. And it's not something which is just restricted to internet or mobile content being viewed, right? This has always been defined by that whatever the masses like is what people will ultimately produce. Like I said, it's not restricted to just mobile or internet content. It's happened in television also. It's happened in print as well, right? So you would see a tremendous amount of content being driven by what the masses want to see, right? And if people have tried to experiment with a different kind of content which did not appeal to the masses, it might have appealed to, minority set of people, but these minority have always had to, give up because of the demands of the masses. Ultimately, it's what jo bikta hai, wahi dikta hai, right? So if masses want this, and this is what the advertisers ultimately want to reach out to the masses, so hence this is the kind of content which will get produced and which will get. So it is a sort of a vicious circle. Can't do much about it. We only hope that with, so there used to be mass media earlier, which is print and television were mass media, that if this is what I put at 8 o'clock in the evening, then this is the only option of what kind of content you can consume at 8 o'clock in the evening. But at least with mobile and internet, the possibility is that if there are out of 100 people, 80 people want to watch some kind of content, 20 people have the option to simultaneously watch some other kind of content. So at least mobile and internet has given that opportunity that it can be individualized, it can be customized, and that content has some opportunity as well.
That's great because the thought is that 8 o'clock the 9 o'clock news is an entertainment today. Obviously, we all know that. So the prime slot, so to say, in a traditional media sense, is actually on the way out. We all know that. I mean, it is accessible. Samir, what would you say about this? Quality versus crowdsourcing and anything coming on the net and no filter, which is perfect. But are there any views that you have related to so much of a stuff available?
I think it comes down to the business you want to be in, right? And in fact, Abhijit and I were talking about this over breakfast, about the difference between a star and a Z. And I think it's pretty much the same thing which is evident in any form of content. Are you going to go mass premium? Are you going to go sort of really mass entertainment? And at least I think it really comes down to how does the founding team look at content. If you're coming in from, say, Praveen and Vinay and team are from Indore, they probably will get a better grip on seeing tier 2, tier 3 cities as being sort of the future of the internet. I always look at it economically. I look at it as saying, what is the, it's a simple equation, right? How much content you need to create in order to become the largest audience, which is the best monetized. So for me, if that means that, the urban Hindi-speaking market is going to be the best one to reach out to and own that, I'll build the kind of content which is going to be efficient enough to deliver that kind of advertisers. Does that mean that Z is a better or a worse business compared to Star? No. Star is a great business as well, and Star typically has always been the mass premium, as with Colors. Z has been a phenomenal business as well. But it really comes down to what do you want to build, and at least the way we think about it is, for us, neither of the two worlds is inaccessible. We run some of the largest brands in tier 2, tier 3, which do millions, about 50, 60 million views just on a bad month is what we'll do on those brands, right? And those actually are built to keep that audience consistently engaged. But the fact of the matter is, most advertisers have a legacy of looking at the internet as a premium medium. Not because of any reason, because of the fact that for the last 10 years, only people who were rich could afford the internet. And those tended to be from urban societies. The world has changed dramatically in a year. I just think that, a Times of India will still be much larger in monetization than a Dainik Jagran or a Bhaskar, especially when it comes to, the kind of inventory that they'll be able to monetize because it's English speaking. But because it's looked at as urban upper middle class or middle class. And I think it really comes down to what you want to build. I think companies like ours are not relegated to either one of these because inherently technology businesses allow you to scale any way you want to go. Right. But personally, I always would bet on going after greater quality, because if your content is able to hit with great quality, it's not like, by great quality doesn't mean the production cost. It means the quality of the narrative that you're putting out. When we built a Put Chutney in Tamil, there's many ways that we could go, but we always went for sort of great storytelling. And that's always been with Blush, we went after that. Being Indian by far is probably the most massy property I have. But all of these brands, we always tended to go for that because I think, coming from Disney, I remember when John Lasseter used to speak from Pixar, he used to say always bet on quality. If the question is between higher quantity and less quality, or if it means higher cost versus lower cost, always go after higher quality. And I think that the reason is because the muscle you build intellectually, organizationally, to tell better quality stories is something which attracts even better talent. You live with mediocrity and say, "Duniya ko ye dekhne ka hai," you'll never be able to make the taste buds. And it's a much harder job. It is much more fraught with risk because if you fail big. But if that was the case, I think Star would never have been able to reinvent itself and do a KBC or a QKey. Or today, if, I think they still are the ones which actually take the bet with doing a TED Talks or an iSoch. And I do believe that there is in media and entertainment a requirement to reflect society and its values. And if you're treating it like just another business, it is just another business, but the product is your content. And if you say that, it's fine with mediocrity, then you're following the masses as opposed to making the taste for the masses. And you will go wrong, but that doesn't mean you stop trying.
That's really wonderful to hear that, because perennially, it's a narrative that you build up, whether it's a traditional platform or a on-ground platform, the folk, anything, anywhere as a part of entertainment you look in. And I think that's really one of the lessons that I get out of it, is that when we talk about fourth industrial revolution and the technology and its impact on entertainment, I think often I have heard people, missing the point like Samir said. He's talking about the quality and the narrative part of it. I think it's very, very important to have a narrative, have a storytelling which is universal, which has a human truth into it. And if you're able to utilize and deploy technology platforms which enhance that particular experience for the audiences, you take it to the next level, and that's really where it comes down to. One of the points, Praveen, I was wondering about is as per your experience of Witty Feeds, what do you think has been your experience in terms of, you have so many, sharing of your videos which happen, so many likes, like you mentioned, millions of likes. What is a thing which works with Witty Feeds? I mean, when it comes to the content becoming sharing and becoming viral, is there some chemistry or equation to it which?
Yeah, of course. कोई भी चीज़ अपने आप नहीं होती actually, right? You have to put data and science behind it, right? So with experience of almost 8 years now, I can understand what is actually working on internet and how you should make it. So for making any content viral on internet, actually, you actually need to understand your audience first. So when we started all these things in content actually, so पहले हम वो पोस्ट करते थे जो हमें पसंद था एक्चुअल में, वो एक समय तक चला बट उसके बाद में वो रुक गया एक्चुअल में. ओके, सो देन वी अंडरस्टूड एक्चुअली दिस इज नॉट समथिंग इट विल वर्क. यू हाउ टू अंडरस्टैंड योर ऑडियंस फर्स्ट एंड देन you have to make the content for your audience. So we started working on data analysis, we started working on the insights of our audience, what exactly they like, what type of people they are, what is the audience we are having, what is the geography we are having, and based on that then we started creating the content, number one thing. Number two, to make any content viral on internet, you need to understand the content should be relatable to your audience, and number two, it should hit any type of emotions actually. The emotions can be happiness, sad, crazy, wow, whatever you want to make actually. So you have to hit some kind of emotions. Okay, so we started with amazing things. Then we started Witty Feed, and last year we started some niche-wise properties also. So we got to know actually if you really want to create a quality content and a niche content, so you have to be category-wise content actually. So we started with one property called Foodmate, in-house property. So we do recipes on that particular properties. If you talk about the number of hits, 1 year of time we reached to 2 million of Facebook likes, and it is growing like anything. And in month of October, we did around 30 million of video views on that particular properties. So if you talk about quality, you have to be in niche, number one thing. And number two, when you create niche content, that the audience will be same kind of taste, right? So like example, if somebody is following Foodmate, it means they all are food lovers. They are in same category. So the interaction level is much higher there. The engagement is really good there because people can talk to each other. People can discuss there some stuff which is related to food there. Same, we have started one property called Inner Voice by Witty Feed, where we talk about relationships, emotions, feelings, and some dark content of society, where like we want to speak but we are not talking actually because we are afraid of something. So people are sending us like tales there, around like thousands of tales we are receiving every day on that particular property, and we select around like 15 to 20 tales from that and we post on our property there. So if you talk about quality, of course it matters, and because if you are in quality content, people trust you more. Like brand perception will improve definitely if you are in quality content. And number two, we started one more property called Unheard. That is a property where we call poets of the city, and we ask them to share their stories there. So it's an offline event, but same time we produce videos out of that content and we post on our social media properties, and it's growing like anything again. It's a really nice quality content where we are producing. So we started as a test model in Indore, Then we did a event in Mumbai. And recently we did our last week event in Delhi. It's actually branded event. So brands are trusting when you create quality content also. So it's important to create quality content. Same time you talk about Dhinchak Puja, right? So she started with something nonsense actually. But same time, if you see today, she is actually increasing the TRP of Big Boss. So people are trusting again her, okay? Because TRP was going down, Big Boss thought Dhinchak Puja is something we should have on our show, and today they are paying her to just be on show, right? Same time, brands are working with her today, and so there is no limit of content when you want to do something on internet. So I think you just produce your content and everything will fall in place by the time.
Absolutely. Okay, so from my next point, and just to take a discussion quick once to a slightly different track a bit, is from Dhinchak Puja's selfie to something, because I was thinking, because from an entertainment perspective, and since we are talking of a issue of a technology impacting lives and impacting entertainment, I mean, what has been your experiences, Abhijit, you, Samir? Because there's a big concept, and especially Abhijit, since you have worked in mobile technology in rural areas, how's the edutainment thing coming up? I mean, this particular word of utilizing entertainment to change people's lives, whether it is from a social impact perspective or it is from a pure entertainment perspective. Have you seen technology impacting social change through entertainment? Do you have any experiences or any of that nature? Because then we can take this particular discussion also towards a social impact thing which the technology is doing when it comes to entertainment.
So yes, there is a lot of work which is actually happening in that direction, that technology is being used for multiple things, and including creating a social impact and etc. Especially if we talk about rural India, there is a tremendous focus on reaching out to women in rural, and for various reasons. One, whether it is educating and making her aware about various things. Second, so including, how that, because she's at the center of literally everything in the rural India. Whether it is the health of the family, which is also for urban as well, whether it is the education of her children, but also the financial part a whole bunch of social organizations actually trust the woman in the rural far more than they trust the male, right? That is why technology is being used to provide her more tips. The woman in the rural is very, very willing to, and very, very wanting to understand that how there are various elements that can help her in these three areas, which is health, education of her children, and financial matters, right? And she's very receptive. So that is why a whole bunch of technology, especially on the mobile, which has been used, whether it is the voice technology or whether it is text technology, and there's tremendous usage of videos on to explain to her that how these things can be done. And the consumption of that and the understanding of the woman on the basis of that is tremendous. So, and multiple brands have done that. Whether it is the levers, whether it's the PNGs, Colgates, and etc., everyone is working towards that. And it's a very interesting phenomenon, because earlier, before technology came into play, they used to use these brochures, these cards,
Flip charts.
The flip charts and the cards and etc., which was dependent on the audio of the person who was imparting that information, right? Now, if I am not very well versed with language or with the understanding of that content, the entire gameplay could actually fall through, right? But now with the technology of audio video, it is not dependent on the person who's actually showcasing it to or reaching it out to these women. Now it is all completely packaged, and completely packaged in her own dialect, in her own situation, so which is hitting the right note for them. So where we see a tremendous amount of usage happening, at least in these three areas.
We'll open up this session for any other questions which you want to raise, so that we can, kind of move on. Anybody has any questions for our three esteemed panelists? Yeah.
Hi. There was a great conversation. Now, the three of you individually do a lot of data analytics to understand what feeds your narrative. Through this data analytics, what are the most surprising or most perception-changing data points which have come across, which a lot of us who do not have access to these insights may know? What are the data points which are like feeding your strategy for the next few years?
Is this intended towards one particular agenda, or anybody can answer?
Everybody. I mean, you're all doing data analysis. You are as well. So.
Samir?
Anybody?
So, food is a category which is on Facebook. A lot of people, after Tasty became popular, everyone began to do it. I think you do it, I do it, except our viewership is larger. And I think it really comes down to actually understanding what the consumer wants to watch. We were able to quickly, I mean, this is obviously, I'm going to quote older data, not something which is currently the case, but these consumption patterns keep changing because people aren't sort of, monolith. People also, in terms of their tastes and preferences, change. So when we were analyzing how do we actually break into the top three, we kind of got a clear sense that the most popular recipes tend to be vegetarian. They don't tend to be non-vegetarian. Milk-based recipes do better, whether it's paneer or whether it's cheese or anything to do with milk-based content does much better than, say, for example, non-vegetarian. The third one was rice-based recipes don't do very well. The fourth one was actually bread-based recipes, ones which actually have that as a common denominator in the way you create the content, whether it is chapatis, whether it's rice, whether it's idlis, or whether it's dosas, or whether good old bread tends to do better. So that actually allowed us to very precisely plan our menu out in terms of what kind of content we should create, and pretty much those insights powered Awesome Sauce, which is a food brand, to become to break into the top 2, in fact, and continue to remain at that level for many. I think we were there for about 9 to 10 months in a row. Consecutively, and I think that's just one example. The other one is, for example, when it comes to this video which we had done for Dove, which won many awards, which was on Blush, our women's channel, which was Change the Rhyme, set to the tune of Chubby Cheeks. We knew before the Olympics that about 4 months before that, most women in India were really concerned about body shape, and motivational content as a format was doing well for women. And we knew the Olympics was something which was around the corner, so there's a lot of buzz in terms of conversations around that. We kind of used those insights to power it to a creative team, and it was actually, while the video did phenomenally well, what is really interesting is after the Olympics team came back, most of the medals were won by women athletes. So again, that's another example in which case we did content that really resonated with audiences, but we knew clearly what the target demographic was already consuming. Pretty much every piece of our product in terms of the way we develop it is informed by that, but all the best stuff that we do is actually the parts where we ignore it, because those are the gaps in the data which you can say, okay, this is what I'll do to run the kitchen, and this is what I'll do because creatively, the whole job of creative is to basically do things which haven't been done before. I think that combination has really worked well for us. The parts where we look at data and make decisions, but also the parts where we ignore it completely and let the creative have their say.
In fact, one of the things, just to add on to what Sami said, most of, and I'm talking in a generic sense rather than just the technology-based companies and entertainment, is that data most of the times, or research most of the times, and especially in the case, as Sami rightly said it, in the case of creativity, does not eliminate anything.
Yeah.
So at times, like he rightly said, it is slightly beyond the data points that they work with. It could be related to the food, as he example that he gave, or it could be related to any kind of a appeal that Praveen talked about, the emotional appeals that he was talking about. So I think technology, again going back to the same fact that technology does give you the platforms and the scope of actually taking it further, enhancing the experiences. But eventually it comes down to the fact is what is the consumers wanting, and how much is the professionals who are working on the creation of the entertainment are able to sink into what the consumers are wanting and still manage quality. Right. I think somebody else wanted to ask a question, I think, on that particular table.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry.
My question is to Abhijit. what is happening as the technology is getting better and better. We all have seen the WhatsApp and Instagram, Twitter, everything. People are going over there and using that thing. But the biggest problem is that even faking news are spreading like fire over there. So is there any way to curb this kind of a technology? Because I remember 4 years back, UPA government tried to bring some sort of filtration in the content that is being put over there. But there was a huge protest on the basis of freedom of expression. So it's a very sensitive thing. From one side, faking news and all kind of, because we have seen, if a person is saying anything against an ideology, there will be thousands and lakhs of people attacking him. And people, celebrities in India have deleted their accounts only because of that. On the other side, if there is a single filtration, you are against freedom of expressions. So what's your take on that?
See, there are certain pros and cons for every technology, every element that actually becomes hugely successful. There are pros and cons of both. Whether technology can do something like that, I would really doubt that technology can do that. I'll give you another analogy to it, that how things are changing or could possibly change. Like even on the television side and the media side, right, there was a tremendous amount of debate that whether there should be a body, just like films, which should censor content on television and radio and etc. There was a tremendous amount of pushback again, that television did not want to get into that road again, where someone else, there's a third party who's trying to censor the kind of content which should be shown. Which is where there were two elements which came in. One was that there should be some amount of self-censorship, which should be practiced by the media houses. And the second is up to the sensitivity of the consumer. That there are a lot of open platforms now which distribute a whole bunch of content which is out there in the market. And not just faking news, we all know the kind of content which is actually available on the internet. There's tremendous amount of content. And that it gets exposed to every age group and every person in the family. So there is a certain amount of restraint which from an individual perspective also needs to be done. Now, for every technology, there will be pluses and minuses. That if you get a lot of fantastic content, then there is some amount of content which maybe doesn't appeal to your sensitivities, right? So, there's very difficult for technology to really take that part. And technology to actually stop it, hold it, or for someone to actually censor this, whole wide world of internet and content which is there. But there are other elements which have to do. Because again, the point is that if government tries to put restriction, and like you rightly also said, that there was again a huge pushback when they, it started stepping over the freedom of speech. If people started doing that, yes, it will curtail that side as well. So in a sense, technology really has very limiting amount of what it can do. It is up to the content creator and the content consumer where the sensitivities have to match. But technology has very limited element to
maybe I want to add a little more to it, just because we do about 1.2 billion views a month as a company, and for us this makes a material difference, because I think it's a nuanced argument. There's a difference between censorship and the actual fact-checking of content which is going on. So if the idea is that a government body could actually censor content basis whether it's fake or not, that's not the debate. The debate is, do they know whether what's the truth or not? And I think technology actually has made, over the last 6 to 7 months after the YouTube fracas which happened, where there was brand safety guidelines which were violated and YouTube lost close to $1 billion in revenue. And whatever is happening right now with the congressional hearings, where Google and Facebook are being pulled up in the United States for the influence of Russia on the US elections, it's all about how fake news was perpetrated. We do know for a fact that over the last 2 to 3 quarters, Google has made substantial sort of has made substantial progress when it comes to the use of machine learning in order to detect whether certain videos are fake or not. Those algorithms are currently in their infancy over the last 2 quarters, but we have seen a marked improvement in their abilities just on our 1.2 billion video data set to be able to understand what news items are doing well Are they real? Are they not real? And the way that they are actually doing that is by working with manual sort of journalists who have been informing what's working, what's not by fact checking it, and constantly using that. Their sort of, what DeepMind does is the ability to use, unsupervised learning in order to know whether this video is real or not. And Facebook is doing the same thing. So over the course of the next 6 to 7 months, in the first 6 months itself, we have seen a marked improvement in its ability to detect, and it will only become much better in the next 6 to 7 months. So I do believe technology will have a major role to play when it comes to fact-checking what content is real and what's not, and then being able to, do what governments can't, which is basically know what the truth is.
One thing that is not clear, one specific thing I want to know, as you guys are from this field, Indy, the bullying that is happening on Twitter. Because a person, I'll just give you an example, a person sitting, for example, over here, if there's a shy person, he won't be able to speak over here, a single word. But the same person will start bullying any other person at Twitter. It becomes very easy. So is there any kind of thing that can be done?
Think about this, right? There's about 2.2 billion people who monthly use Facebook, and similar audiences watch YouTube. Twitter's global audience base is 300 million. The world's population is about 7 odd billion. So basically 97 to 98% of the world doesn't use Twitter. So only 300 million people use it. So in that sense, while it's a very important platform, especially when it comes to politics in Washington, just the sheer power that it has amongst influencers. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to the rest of the world getting the information, the two big ones in terms of size, which one really has to care about, is YouTube and Facebook.
Hello. Yeah, hi. So I have two questions basically. The first question is, what according to you all is the most talking about content on digital media? Any specific single word answer, like what is that feel all about? And the second question is, seeing the present trend right now, the divergence of like people using Star movies to Netflix, or say using Tata Sky to Amazon Fire Stick. So what do you think, like, what is the future of this digital giants like India Today Network, or say Star or Z? Don't you think their existence is under a critical position?
So about what type of content and what actually keywords work on internet, right? That was the first question, right? So as you were talking about technology and data analysis, the first question was there. So we have some sort of technology which we use to understand the data, what exactly working on internet. So after like having 100 million visitors on VT feed, we come up with really interesting data where we got to know what type of content works, what type of content doesn't work on social media actually. So if you talk about pregnancy example, okay, you create any sort of article on that and it will work like anything on internet. That's the data actually. You create any article on girls period and like it will go like anything on internet. So there are some data which you can understand by your overall audience which you are having. Same time, we have some technology in place where we can check out like what type of content will work on what is the day. This example, we will create content on Thursday. That content will work on Saturday or Sunday maybe. So that type of data will help you to understand actually what should be the content which you will create on internet. And same time, when you talk about Netflix or Amazon or any sort of platform, see, everybody is in content today, right? And everybody is producing content. Same time, recently, the one production out called Alt Balaji also started their own production house. They launched their particular app also, and they are actually paid users, right? And they are also producing content. They are collaborating with production houses where people are giving them content. They are paying for that. So same like they are actually the giant of the industry. So definitely I think they don't have so much of problem in that. And same time, see, I'm not saying that TV industry is dying actually, because right now also there is a huge potential in that industry also, because बहुत सारी ऐसी जगह पे जहाँ पे अभी टीवी भी नहीं पहुँचा है एक्चुअल में, राइट? सो दे एक्चुअली डिमांड ऑफ दैट. but same time, internet is having much better potentials. That's why, because it's easy to reach there and very efficient. And after coming so many competition like Geo and many people, so internet is cheaper now, so anybody can have access of that. So I think that's how that content is changing right now.
जैसा कि आपने बोला जहाँ अभी टीवी भी नहीं पहुँचा है, so don't you think जहाँ टीवी नहीं पहुँचा उससे पहले वहाँ इंटरनेट पहुँच गया है?
बिल्कुल पहुँच गया, and that's why I'm saying कि internet and mobile is much better now. So nowadays mobile is not the mentality of the people. Mobile is actually dominating the industry right now, and you have to be on mobile. There's no choice actually right now. So you have to produce content for mobile now.
So actually, just to continue, your second part of the question, which is what is going to happen with Z and Star, with all of this digital content being available, and the biggest factor being that the content is available when you want whatever content that you want, as compared to the sequential form of content which these television channels actually throw out. Which define that how your 8 o'clock evening should be and how your 12 o'clock in the afternoon should be. So this debate is actually right now happening in the boardrooms of all these channels as well. I don't think that anybody can give a very, very clear answer to something like that, that yes, there will be sometime 50 years down the line when all these channels would have shut down and there will be only digital channels and stuff like that. Nobody even wants to believe that. Even in the boardrooms, they don't want to believe that, because then their 1,000 crores of revenue will actually disappear tomorrow if they start believing something like that. But yes, it is a scary question. But yes, the other side of this coin is also that, which is what we have been expecting, print also to, something like this to happen to print as well. Where in some way, print has continuously kept redefining itself, right? It has actually continuously kept trying to make its relevance in the consumer's life continue to be there. For example, I mean, today, let's see that if there is same news which gets printed on, one of the popular print, which is, let's say, Times of India for that matter, the same news appears on Z News. And the same news actually appears, you get it through WhatsApp or somewhere. Where is it that you find the biggest power? Which medium do you find the biggest power that my news actually appeared here? Typically what it happens that it's print, right? If it is there on the print, on the front page, right? That's what you showcase to the entire world, that my news or I was featured on the front page of Times of India, Economic Times or whatever. Then comes maybe the television news. Oh, I was actually mentioned on the television news. And then it will be on that I was on the online portal of Z News itself. So there is a different perception right now still of, the traditional media. And purely because the traditional media is restricted in the real estate of how much content can they show. So if there were 1,000 pieces of news, print can only print possibly 20, right? Television can possibly show 100, but internet can show all 100, right? So which means that there has been some bit of filtration which has happened, and only the most important news has found its way on the print, right? So hence the power of the medium still continues in that sense. But what is going to happen post 50 years and etc., where completely new generations would have come in, right? Who would have not been growing up on the print era or on the television era and were introduced only to internet and mobile and online consumption of content. What will be their reaction is something which will happen after 50 years, but yes, everybody is really worried about that time.
Adding on to his point, Abhijit's point, there's one particular thing which is going rounds, and this is not a new word, which is authenticity. Now, what is happening is that as consumers, as viewers and audiences, something which is authentic attracts us. We kind of put our faith into that particular thing, whether it is an entertainment or a context or a news or for that matter, anything else. If the consumer and the audiences see a platform to be authentic and the news and the content to be authentic enough, they'll buy into it. I mean, the fun side is separate, and that's why, somebody raised the point of being a fake news or fake entertainment or morphed images and all that. Yes, of course, they'll keep on happening. It happens even in the offline world as well. But the fact is, if the content is, and that's where I bring in back Sameer's point, is that if you're authentic, if the narrative is great, whether it is on a print or it is on a, you talk about India Today and all those groups, you know what is going to happen is that, and this is already happening, all these traditional media houses, they are reinventing themselves because they realize where the consumer lies. And Praveen very rightly said it, you need to know who your audiences are. If they are on the internet, you go there. If they are on a mobile, you take them there. So the whole game is around authenticity and what your consumers want. There would be a mix and match of various platforms, various technologies which would bring that entertainment to you. It could be offline mode. Look at the publishing industry. You had those, digital readers and those things come in, Kindles come into play. You buy a Kindle, do you keep only reading on Kindle? You don't do it. You do offline, you buy a book and read it. So the consumer preferences, experiences change over a period of time in terms of context. I think as technology grows, innovations happen, narrative and storytelling, which Samir was talking so rightly about, will play an increasingly more important role. And that's where the challenges would eventually happen, right? I think he wanted to ask. Go ahead.
And there's one more point, last point that I'll add on that question is that why these media houses are also worried is that, interestingly, you'll observe that none of the new media platforms have actually come from these old media houses. So they're worried there as well on the existence bit.
Hi, thank you, Devakar. My name is Devendra Jani. I'm from Pune Hub, working for a software product company. My question is for all the judges. Now, entertainment from home is moved to entertainment on the go, all thanks to technology, but there is also a lot of technology innovation in the field of education. And we know that kids learn better when there is play and fun involved with it, which is also more on the entertainment part. So my question is, how much of the world of entertainment would you guys see in the classrooms of future?
To any three of
So I have one real example for that. So few months back, we thought of doing something in education because we are producing so much of content. So we thought of let's try it out something in education where we can create something which can be educated in classrooms actually. So see, our mind is more about images, right? As we all know that. So we thought of creating one video, animation video. It's about basic grammar learning, okay? So we took one character there and we created one video. It's very interesting video. And believe me, that video went viral like anything because some basic terms of grammar you can learn within like 1 minute of video, and which in our school time when I was in school, मुझे कम से कम भी 2 महीने लग गए उस चीज़ को सीखने में, और आज भी शायद वो क्लियर नहीं है मुझे. But same time, वो 1 minute का video is always in my mind कि अच्छा ये ऐसे हुआ तो ये ऐसे होगा. So yes, of course, content can definitely help in education, and if we can create some really quality content there. Currently, as VT Feed, we are not that much in education content, but we are hoping of doing something in education sector also because there is a huge potential. Same time, if you talk about future of the content, now people are talking about AR and VR also because that is something happening right now, right? So as a technology company, we are working on that sector also where we are trying to produce some content which can be educated through VR and where you can just wear that VR and then do content consumption also. So definitely we are working on that.
It's happening. In fact, I just add to this example. UNICEF did long years of work on Project Meena. Meena was this character, if you've seen that particular girl from a rural, and Meena has phenomenal impact on health and hygiene in rural areas, by the way. It's so popular, even now it stays popular, and they're reinventing themselves. So like Praveen talked about the animation characters, I'm pretty sure, and we have 3 people who are practitioners and leaders in that space. That's going to happen. But it also depends who are the people who are going to run those schools and classes.
Right.
Because you need to have those infrastructure to come into play. There are examples, and we have some people that we know of. There's an NGO which works, Muskan, which works on digital classrooms. The content there is what the gentlemen are producing as part of their firms.
Right.
So that's a very important point which you brought in, entertainment and the education, edutainment, as we were talking about it. Anybody else? I think somebody, yeah.
Media convergence has become a very vital element for people's life. So I want to ask that what are the opportunities and challenges for the social media?
For social media.
I didn't quite get the question. Could you please repeat that?
Media convergence has played a very vital role for many people's life.
What do you mean by media convergence?
Social medias.
Okay.
So what are the opportunities and challenges for the social media?
Oh, so if I can just allow me to reframe that, you mean to say is media convergence going to be even a bigger thing where different platforms come together,
yes,
print and tech, digital,
yes,
everything coming together, or you're talking about social media playing a bigger role?
It's a bigger role.
So Facebooks and all, you mean to say by Facebook and those things?
I think these are platforms which have become a part of the daily fabric of how you live. So you're either watching something, talking to people, or just generally browsing. So the amount of hours that people spend on it is only growing. Last year, Facebook was about 20-25 minutes per user per week. This year, it's 1.5 hours per user per week. So when it comes to that kind of time that you spend, I think they are also looking at what are the newer applications that can be done on top of, once I have your attention, what else can I do with your time? And towards that, I'm sure everybody's heard about WhatsApp integrating with the UPI, which will allow you to conduct payments via WhatsApp. And I think opportunities like those, that's one of them. But eventually there might be, Aadhaar authentication done inside of these platforms as well. So they become sort of the one-stop place for you to conduct any transaction or for you to live your life, whether it's booking tickets, talking to a artificially intelligent powered assistant to plan your calendar, writing notes and sharing with friends, or making transactions, whether it's commerce or whether it is P2P payments with your friends, as well as transport. So whether you want to order a cab or whatsoever that may be the case. I think that's exactly where it's going to go to, where conversations is what first got you to use those platforms, entertainment is what got you to come back, and transactions is what allows you to never to get out of them. Does that answer your question?
Yes, please.
My question is about what's the future of entertainment beyond videos? What's coming after videos? We're getting so much AI in, and over the next decade itself, in fact, not 50 years in the future, what's next for the entertainment industry?
I think generally the bet is that it's going to be some combination of VR and AR. VR is fully immersive. AR is one which is not fully immersive, doesn't take you away from the real world, allows you to have an augmented layer on top of it. So if you're sitting in a room like this and you had a pair of whether they are embedded lenses or inside your eye, or whether they're just glasses which you're wearing, or whether it's a fully immersive experience, I think that's the bet. Because have you ever tried an Oculus Rift out? So if anybody out here wants to see or feel what it feels like, try out the Rift and try out playing a game on it. I think it's fairly clear once you go through the experience of a complete VR experience, that is pretty much the place where all entertainment will go to, whether it's storytelling in the form of video, which is fully immersive and captures all your senses, besides taste and smell, and maybe in the future taste and smell as well. But yeah, I recommend, probably reading Ready Player One. It's the Bible for anybody who wants to look at anything to do on virtual reality, written by Ernest Cline. Pretty much every founding member of Oculus, whether it's John Carmack and others, looks at it as the Bible. And I think that pretty much kind of gives you a good sense of where storytelling and full immersive environments and communities will go to. And on AR, I think it's really early right now, because but over the next 2 years, one assumes with the likes of Magic Leap and others shipping products, that will become a little more obvious about what the future will be. But as of now, given what one has seen, it's pretty much in the realm of science fiction. And I think typically what's in the realm of science fiction 10 years ago becomes reality now.
Right. Anyone else has the last question? Yeah.
Hello, I'm Aditya from Indore. So all the companies right now are trying to monetize internet with all the opportunities possible in the past 5 years. So a company like Wikipedia, which has open source, and they have a philosophy of ad-free knowledge. So how do you think do they sustain? Because even today they are struggling with money. And people make it a point to donate $5 or $20 or
Wikimedia
$15
actually
a year.
makes their money back via the annual donation runs. So whenever
Yes,
you use
donation.
Wikipedia, and it's not because they choose to struggle for money, it's because they choose to be independent. There are many examples of great organizations built on the back of, being a non-profit company doesn't mean that you shouldn't exist, because it just means that you make enough money to cover your costs and not post a profit. Guardian is another great example of amazing institution, a journalistic institution which is owned by a trust, which continues to exist with the idea of continuing to pursue the ideal of truth and great journalism. It does suffer because it doesn't get the best management teams, because they don't tend to pay at the highest pay grade compared to, say, a News Corp. But I think Wikipedia does really well. The fact that the light bulbs are still on and that you can still go to Wikipedia, and it's been, 11 years when everybody questioned whether it would work and exist in as a business model. And the fact that every year that they do a donation run, they actually make that donation run and they make the money that they need to, shows the fact that, it is successful, at least in the frame of reference that they think success is as a business model.
We'll just like to close this particular session. In fact, a couple of things came out very strongly as a part of, sharing of knowledge and their experiences by the three panelists out here. One of the things is that if we are getting, like Samir said, we are getting into an immersive experience mode as time goes on. The next big thing, and again the next big thing, the more we become more technologically savvy, new platforms, innovations come in. One of the things which is going to stay absolutely relevant and universal throughout our lives is the story which Samir kept on, talking about. So I think that's where the magic lies, essentially, in open up a new possibilities of utilizing entertainment, whether for a pure entertainment and feeling happy about it, or utilizing it, as somebody said, entertainment for a change, whatever you want to do. So the fourth revolution, as industrial revolution, as you all talk about, I think it has huge implications as we go along in a journey, becoming even more. And one of the last, things which come to my mind, and that's where I'll want to close it, is this gentleman called Mark Duplass, who's taken to be as a pioneer of budget movies. Once he was being interviewed by The Guardian, and he said that, we have reached in a space where the technology is so cheap and so accessible to the world, that there's absolutely no excuse for anybody not to make a movie on the weekend with your friends and families. So it's so democratized, it's so kind of, available to all of us, frankly speaking. And we have these three brilliant, business models related to technology and story and entertainment, which are playing a decisive game. And people like them are really, as I had said in the beginning, blurring boundaries between the virtual, physical, and augmented. And I think that's where the real fun is going to start even further. Thank you so much to all of you to be part of it. I want to thank Praveen, Samir, and Abhijit for doing so much for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Diwakar sir. Now I would request if you can honor the panelists by handing over the thanking memento. 1 second, please. Mr. Praveen. Mr. Samir. Mr. Abhijit. Thank you. Now I would request Umang, Shaper Bhopal Hub, to start Gandhi Change Awards. Umang. Also in the meantime, I hope the 6 shortlisted projects, they have submitted the presentation over here. Where are they? Umang, all yours.
So good afternoon, everyone. I hope this was a very good session, very enriching. After this, we are having a very important awards that everyone has competed for. It's Gandhi Change Award. So we have the top 6 with us. And I would like to congratulate all of them who participated and the people who are shortlisted here. So I would want all of you to come inside, because then all the shapers, can we call everybody inside? ये तो jury members. हाँ
उन लोगों का
Guys, please settle down fast because our jury members are here. Guys, please settle down fast. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third edition of Gandhi Change Awards 2017, sponsored by Khadi and Village Industries Commission and Khadi India. Gandhi Change Awards was started at the first edition of Shape South Asia in 2014 by the Ahmedabad Hub of Global Shapers Community. As the summit was themed around the Gandhian ways of solving problems, it was an apt occasion to recognize such initiatives by South Asian hubs. At the third edition of GCA in 2017, we are looking for projects and initiatives for South Asian global shapers communities that will be working towards achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals set up by United Nations for the year 2030. The project must be addressing at least one goal among 17 SDGs to qualify for the final selection process of Gandhi Change Award 2017. The broader criteria for eligibility or the shortlisting of the projects was integrity, inclusiveness, dignity of labor, Swaraj, environment, and peace and harmony. And we were delighted to have around 14 entries this year for Gandhi Change Awards, and we have shortlisted 6. So a big round of applause for the people who are in the top 6. So the award categories for Gandhi Change Award is going to be, first, the Best Hub project, which is going to take away 75,000 rupees as the Best Hub. The second category is going to be Most Promising Hub project, which is going to take 50,000 money for their project. The third award is a Seed Award for the Hub project. So they're going to receive 25,000 as a grant for. So that now the revelation of the top 6, we have 6 best projects of the Shapers community. The first is, I'll just name the cities, and I think you guys will talk more about your own projects. So we have Dhaka, we have Bangalore, we have Ahmedabad, we have Mumbai, we have, Chandigarh. And there's Pune as well. I would like to first of all, I would like to invite Shri Sanjeev Rana ji. He is Assistant Director with State Office KVIC Bhopal. And he will talk about Khadi, KVIC, and how we young people can become part of this whole big mission of KVIC. So I welcome you on stage.
Okay. So very good morning. Now gentlemen be thinking कि after dinner lunch time हो गया और sir कह रहे हैं good morning. So again once you say very good morning. Because you don't know what's happening surrounding you in the world or in the India or the country as a whole in the Khadi and village industries. That's what is once again say good morning. Now Khadi is not earlier, as our Honorable Prime Minister always said, in all days Khadi for nation. Recent past, it was Khadi for fashion. Now, since digitalization, all your e-commerce and all, this now is a Khadi for transformations. This transformation is taking place very fast. So my dear friends, Khadi and Village Industries Commission is a government India body which comes under Ministry of MSME, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Our Honorable Minister Giriraj Singh, and this chairman is a proactive, dynamic chairmanship under Vinay Kumar Saxena ji, and is the very closely working with our Honorable Prime Minister. under his dynamic chairmanship, KVIC has grown from way back from 1932 from old traditional kind of things. Now it's a corporate kind of things. You must be aware now, KVIC has tied up with Raymond's, pantaloons, very big brands. Now we are few days down the line, you will be finding khadi in the Raymond's outlets. Do you aware of that? Of course, some of me. Now KVIC is closely working with basic aims and objective was that KVIC is a basic objective, a social objective, is a creating employment. And social objective that whatever you create employment through, there should be some sellable articles. And the vast objective, wider objective is creating self-reliance amongst the rural community and building strong rural community. KVIC is working, khadi and village industries are two terms. Khadi is different and village industry is different. Khadi means हाथ से कटा हुआ, हाथ से बुना हुआ, hand spinning, hand weaving. The cloths you make is called as a khadi. Since when our Honorable Prime Minister has appealed to the citizen of India to you should wear khadi, you have seen lot of small khadi shops are sprouting across the country. That's a duplicate one, it's not original one. You should find out. That's what a technical reason I'm telling you. That khadi is hand spinning and having, that's the only, But you should check across the counter, whichever shops you are going for the khadi and that. Khadi and village industries, we are working, khadi and village across the country, through our head office Mumbai and the regional office and estate office across the country. It's a very vast setup. You may not be aware of, it's a very sleeping giant actually. Today the KVIC sector has a huge turnover, it has crossed the turnover more than 50,000 crores. You may not be aware of that. With working with our more than 5,006 institutions and more than 9 lakhs of small cottage industries set up by the young masses like you and the rural people and all is for various schemes through across the country nowadays. The KVI has transformed the lives of so many peoples. Now, in the coming transformation, is a change, lot of change are there. You are taking a lot of projects for that. People are why don't you take what you say? So you should be job creator rather than job seeker. So I urge or everybody of you, you should take up some of the projects. You start your own enterprising with the help of KVIC. We do have a lot of schemes for that. So you can work as the rural sector, rural areas or urban areas too. You can work in that. In initiative khadi and village industries. Why is KVIC is a khadi and village industry relevant in today's scenario? Because it's a labor intensive. Our purpose is in, you see every scheme, whatever you are working in, we are working for the creation of employment first. So you should be, that employment should be technological driven. Another thing is that. It's not only just you have to create an old fashioned way, traditional way, just you create employment, but that employment should be linked up with the latest technological upgradation. That's the reason KVIC is already working in that, and the reason we have already started Khadi India launch recently in our Bhopal is the 4th center across the country, Khadi India launch. You can see Khadi India launch. I will request all of you, you should have at least one visit to our launch in Jawahar Chowk, Saraswati Nagar. There we have displayed the latest trend, young masses. We have jackets, jeans. We have developed denim jeans of Khadi. You cannot differentiate that. You will be surprised to know. Leading designers are working with Ritu Berry and all international designers are all NIDs and all KVIC is working with our It's a huge organization, basically working for the crossroad of Khadi and village industry sector. And this is the only organization in the world. When I said it's a world forum from here, I said it's the only organization in the world which is directly connected from right from training, then setting unit, then their marketing, then their global export and all. This is all integration. This is the only organization in the world for connecting rural to international market. We have backward forward linkages. In that backward forwards, we try to establish their own units through some institutions, cooperatives, NGOs, or individual level also. You start your own industries, connect with KVIC. KVIC is across the country is having more than 7,000 sales outlets through which you can move out your products. 7,000 sales outlets. Huge network, marketing network, this channel you can utilize for that. For that, we do exhibit every years. We have a district level exhibitions, state level exhibition, and national level exhibition, trade fairs, IITF, and all Mumbai, Bangalore, and Delhi and Calcutta. We have plus the measure we have nowadays is export into that. Government of India has separately given a status to KVIC, apex consent for village industries product for exporting that. So you need not to go for anywhere, just you get registered with the KVIC and you start your exporting the product for village industries product. In that, KVIC participating every year, 15 to 20 international exhibition across the world every year, in which in those exhibitions means we promote, we give funding for the participant and just unit to take part in that exhibition, explore the opportunity, export opportunity. There are a lot of units has got benefited from that. So KVIC into that one. Right from training, financial assistance, marketing, and all kind of supports, this is KVIC is providing that. So this major schemes we have, flagship program as Government of India is now KVIC is having, that is known as Prime Minister Employment Generation Program, in which any individual can set up their own project right from 1 lakh to 25 lakhs rupees. In that, subsidy component is Government of India is giving 15% to 35%. Suppose you set up your own unit of manufacturing ready-made garments. Of course, it do cost something 25 lakhs projects. You are getting 75 lakhs rupees of grant from Government of India. Out of that, there is no such scheme in this country right now in which you will get huge amount of this subsidy. This is given right from you to just to assert in initial years of your unit of successful. There's a 3 years period, so the initial hurdles you have. So government is providing subsidy component that. This is very unique with marketing support, technological support, training assistance. I said starting from training, KVIC is having 49 department training sector across the country. Traditional kind of training which the KVIC is giving, I said beekeeping industries. We have a CBRTI Pune, Central Bee Research Training Institute at Pune. This is the only one institution in our country, the South Asian one, unique one, where you have wholly all the training for activities for only exclusively for beekeeping industries. You won't find anyone from in there. You have 1 week to 2 years courses are there. You can have from research works also there. Second was handmade paper industry. This is a traditional industry, huge potential export market. We do have UNDP projects at Sanganer, Jaipur. You can have exposure for the handmade paper industries, beekeeping industry, cane and bamboo industries, forest-based industries, herbal product, medicinal industries. So these are traditionally kind of industries. Some of the product we have tried to exhibit in front, just your outside. Yes, you can see that this product, kind of product in herbal industry. Yeah, herbal is a trend and now global is nowadays herbal is a concept from is an Indian concept. And these all products are manufactured in our sector. It's a very good quality products. Is manufactured in KVIC and different industry, different people. So you can mobilize all those resources generated through these schemes, various schemes of KVIC, Government of India, and you can explore the possibility. Sky is the limit. Just you have to start, from where. Whether it's you are living in urban area, no problem. You can have rural areas, okay, that's fine. In urban, we have schemes not only for rural people, urban people also. In PMEGP scheme, you can take up any projects, whether it's your technological products. You can have e-commerce activities. Lot of things are there. I'll give one example, is a success story. Mr. Sudhir Baraskar. Sudhir Baraskar was a BBA guy. He was last 5 years back, he came back, मेरे पास आए थे. और उनका project था, whenever there is a social change in the society, just you catch this very important aspect I'm telling you. Whenever there is a social change means social agitation. There was 5 years back, there anti-plastic campaign was there. Almost most of you may take part on that. So he decided he want to set up their paper bag industries. So I said, what we'll do in the paper bag industries? Already is a paper bag envelope. How you say? No, I have a latest concept in that. I'm going for corporates. So he set up his own industry within the small capital 5 lakhs rupees in our Bhopal Ayodhya bypass road. Today you will be amazed and surprised to note his turnover is more than 3-4 crores rupees now. There is he has not left any brand in India, whether it's a Pepe, jeans, Adidas, Levi's, you name it, he is having it. He is supplying all the carry bags manufactured right now in Bhopal and throughout the country, whether it's a Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, he is the key maker. You make in Google, paper bag wala, you name it Sudhir paper bag wala. right? Very labor incentive, 40 ladies are working with a small capital. He's grown up. Both friends have started. Now this girlfriend, boyfriend is there. Now certainly they were friends. Now I have given the one equation. Your friendship should convert into the entrepreneurship. And later on, now they have gone for relationship. Friendship into entrepreneurship and now relationship. This is the ideology for young masses. So you should be on that. So because this is why when their friends are working on common goal, their goal to set up their own industry. So day and night their focus was their own industries. They are discussing. Each and every minute they are discussing about the future. So they set up their unit. Now after successful of their venture, they're gone for relationship. That's the success story they created. Now he's going to start with our Mukhyamantri Swarojgar Yojana. He's going to having his 1 crore plant at in your area only. So that kind of things you need to transformation. Very big. DB Mall, you go any shop, you have his bag. That's the kind of carry bags. Just I've thrown one example like that. You can have 1,000 kind of things scattered surrounding you. Just you need to connect. You have to organize the thing and make the use of technology. By making use of technology, with the things you have organized, you can start lot many projects. And with this KVIC, and you can reach and you can fulfill ultimately your dream, and you can have achieved what you want. With this, I once again thank you very much. Your organization has called me, and we have very much thankful to given a chance for sponsoring the events like Gandhi and Awards. And now urge our Honorable Anup ji, JLU we have just discussed it. Now we have finalized one more program for your university, People Education Program. We will be giving you some money. In that we will have an essay and debate competition. We will have prize and division, and I will invite Bhakti Sharma ji also to have that program. Today I am announcing this, sir. You should accept our this program with Jagran Lake University. And now, 2 lines for all young generations. How many of you want to become successful in your life? No one. How many have faith that you can become? People think when you start business, oh, you need big money, this thing, that I don't knowledge, visa, blah, 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 blah. You have everything. You don't have guts to come forward. You don't have guts to forward. You should have confidence in it. Yes, I can do. When he can do. Yes, I can do. Why can't I can do it? Today, Umang has created a new chapter in Khadi. He has introduced Khadi G. Digitalized Khadi by Umang only in our national level also. He is created Khadi digital map of India. And 2 lines. हिंदुस्तानी लोग हैं, वो आप लोगों का हाल जब इनिशियली वही हो जाता है. कुछ परिंदे उड़ रहे हैं आंधियों के सामने, कुछ परिंदे उड़ रहे हैं आंधियों के सामने, उनमें ताकत ना सही हौसला है जरूर, देखना एक दिन तय समय में ये समुंदर पार होगा जरूर, ये समुंदर पार हो जरूर. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev sir. I think that was really inspiring, and a lot of us now going to approach KBIC for the funds. So thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to introduce our prestigious guest, the jury members for this prestigious award, Gandhi Change Awards. First of all, I would like to welcome Shri Anup Swaroop ji. Anup Swaroop ji is Vice Chancellor of Jagran Lake City University and Chairman, Center for Global Non-Killing Hawaii. Also, he is United Nations representative with the UNSC. He is a founder trustee of Indian Council of Gandhian Studies. Also, a recipient of National Gandhi Fellowship by Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Smriti, Ministry of Culture, in 2000. The second judge is Miss Sujana Krishnamurthy. She is the Executive Director of Under the Mango Tree Society, a non-profit organization working in agriculture, livelihoods, and pollination space. Sujana, she has worked across India from IC Bharmore in Chama district, Himachal Pradesh, to Dusty Tirupur in Tamil Nadu, having about 20 years of experience in development sector. She has done extensive work in labor rights also. We welcome you, ma'am. We also have Mr. Pradeep Ghosh. He's a social innovator, founder of Oasis, a social innovation lab in India, where new ideas on social development are experimented. He's a recipient of prestigious Ashoka Fellowship for his work in the social sector. We welcome you, sir. Now, we have a very dynamic young lady, Bhakti Sharma. She's a youngest Sarpanch of Barkhedi Abdullah Panchayat. She's there since year 2015. She has motivated a lot of youth in this city and across the nation, also me. She completed her studies from the US, came back to India, became Sarpanch, and she's felicitated by the Honorable President of India as 100 most powerful women of India. Also, she was given Safai Giri Award recently by the India Today Network. Welcome you, ma'am. So the pressure is a lot, but I know you all are achievers, and you have done something really good. That's why you are in the top 6. So I will start with the presentations now, and calling on stage the first team, the first project, Shaping Vision from Chandigarh Hub. So guys, you just have 10 minutes with you, 5 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes of question answers round. So be very specific and fast.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for having us here and providing us this platform to represent this project and an opportunity to share all the good work that we are doing in our city and with all of you. And I hope you'll take away a lot from our project and we'll try to replicate it in your cities also. So I am Gurkaram from Chandigarh Hub. Here's
Vansh Kataria from Chandigarh Hub.
Yeah. So we are not going to go the conventional way by sharing the data, by sharing the stats, and by just sharing the photographs of what we have done in the city. But we'll try to share a story and take you guys through a journey which has inspired all of us in Chandigarh to take up this project. And that's the reason why we are too much involved in this only project. Yeah. So I will share a story. It's not working. Wait. Yeah. So the name of the story is A Team of Stars. It's a story of a boy called Sam. What? This is Sam, and he had a lovely set of parents. Sam is a guy. Can you? So sorry. Yeah. So Sam is a child, and he had a lovely set of parents. He's living with his parents in a small town. And in his town, he's reading in the school, in a local school, and the facilities in the school are not so good. But the facilities and the kind of education he's getting there has never stopped him from doing what he wants to do. He loves to read. He's an enthusiastic child. He's an inquisitive child, and he wants to become an astronaut because he loves space. He wants to become an astronaut, and he's doing quite well in his exams also. All his teachers, all his parents are happy with what he's doing. But suddenly, over a span of a few months, his grades started decreasing. It's a 6 or 7 month journey. So when his grades started decreasing, so it's not like he was not trying to do well in his school. His parents were not motivating him. His teachers were not putting the amount of effort that is required to put in. But there was something due to which he was not able to focus. It was there were some health issues also. Whenever he tried to read something, he started having his headache and all. So he was not able to study. Now, this is a very stupid question, because I believe we should not evaluate a student with the parameter of assessment and the scores, but we'll still ask a question. Do you think with the kind of behavior and with the kind of with the kind of things happening around him, he'll be able to reach the stars that he wants to achieve? Now, I want all of you guys to close your eyes with, take your right hand up and put it here on your eyes. Just do that once. And now open your eyes and see, look towards the screen. Are you guys able to read what is there? Okay, now imagine a situation. What if the whole world becomes like this for you? And there's no solution for you. You can read, it's English, and I know you are everybody will be able to read it if it was clear. But you are not able to read it because you can't, because the whole image is blurred. Now, can you just take it back? So the major problem and the major reason for that thing was, it was not about the inability, but the lack of awareness. Sam and his parents and his teacher were not aware of this thing, that this can also be a problem if the eyes are not good, if the person cannot see. A, he was not able to get it diagnosed. B, he was not able to get the right solution for this problem. And that was the main issue, and the main challenge was the lack of awareness in this situation. And we believe amongst all the projects, amongst all the campaigns that we have done in the city, the major issue was this only, because if we get around 1,000 students treated, around 1,000 students checked in one of the schools, there are at least 60 to 70 students whom we get diagnosed with this inability, and we get some spectacles for them so that they are able to read properly in the schools. So this is literally the thing, the lack of awareness in the schools that is going on. What do you think about it, Vansh?
Yes, as very rightly said, this is a need of the hour, because there are a lot of kids who are not able to treat themselves, or they either don't know from what they are suffering, right? So for this, this is our project is all about shaping vision. So now what we guys do in shaping vision is, those kids who are not aware or who cannot afford to get a treatment done. So we go to schools and get their eye checkup done with a team of, there are 2 shapers and a team of doctors. And after once the eye checkup is done, some of them will be diagnosed with a number with a 4, some of them diagnosed as a 4 power also. And some need to be treated with a senior doctor. So we consult accordingly. Now, in the past time, since we have started the project, we have almost 10,000 lives in this. Now, what is the vision, our vision for this project? Because our vision is not that this project is too small or something. We want to take it to the next level. If I say that 2 shapers with a team of doctors can treat 1,000 kids in one day, because it doesn't take much of your time. So if I talk about 100% efficiency, right? If we talk that, because here we are, because what we believe is, what has been taught to us is that one man with the courage can make a majority. And here in India, we have 36 hubs and 720 shapers, courageous. So if we dare to dream, how much scalable this project is, if we dare to dream, right? 2 shapers with a team of doctors can treat 1,000 kids. So if all the 20 are active, if it is a mission of our life, ki haan yaar, this is it what we want to do. If this is a mission, 20 shapers, that means we can treat around 10,000 kids in a day. And 36 hubs can do 3.6 lakh kids in a day. So what impact we can bring in 100 days? It will be 3.5 crore. This is what I am talking about, 100% efficiency. I believe कि 100% efficiency पे it might not be just about okay. So due to lack of time, I believe कि in 100 days we will be able to do, if we will be able to touch 3.5 CR lives. There are around 11 to 12 crore kids in this age bracket who needs this. So this was some of the stats. So I believe not on 100% efficiency. If we can work on 70, 60, 80 or on 25% efficiency also, then also in 5 years time, we will be able to bring a more impact on the society. Because in 5 years time, because as like us, we have recently started. So in 5 years, we believe that we will be part of one of the biggest revolution in the nation. Thank you. What sort of sources? Resources, yes. Very nice question.
Hello. Yeah. First of all, we go to the doctors. We talk to a doctor and we pay him around 1,000 to 2,000 rupees for one campaign. And with that, we know a person who has this spectacles manufacturing company, and we get that person along. So the whole team goes to the concerned school. So first of all, we talk to the school and get a time slot that we want to conduct this campaign in the particular school. We go there with the team. We arrange the whole setup for the eye checking campaign. And once any child is diagnosed, they go to the eye spectacle wala person. They get the right frame, and after 1 week, when the spectacle is manufactured, we go back to the school and distribute all those spectacles.
It is costing us 150 INR for one spec.
Yes, we do pay.
How do we mobilize our resource?
So we conducted a marathon last year. So there were some funds that were generated from that also, and so there are some links, and we get it sponsored from the known people. So it's just. Pardon?
How much money?
So till now we have gone to around 10 schools, and in all 10 schools there were around on an average 700 students, and amongst all those 700 students there were around 80 to 90 people, children who were diagnosed. And so one fact here is the people in the urban region are more vulnerable to this thing than the people in rural. So we did try both ways, and in the city we got more cases of this thing.
So there are other events also which we do for fundraising, as you have rightly said. One was marathon, and other is we also do some social activities over in the land.
Thank you so much.
So down the line, do you think that you can provide some kind of an employment generation with this project?
It can be done. So there can be a team of the doctors, and there can be a team. So right now we are doing it in a very small scale. If there's a team, if there's a dedicated team of the volunteers and the shapers along, we can definitely do that. And we are trying. So I have talked to 3 or 4 of the cities here also, and they are trying to replicate it. They are already started replicating it there. So with that kind of scalability, we believe in very few months we can.
So basically our target is not employment generation through this project. Basically what we are targeting is that kids who want to study can study well. For impact assessment, any evaluation. Yes, one of the impact that actually dazed me was that in urban areas, there was more detection than in the rural areas, because the diet is not that good in urban areas. So
Our English chapters. So when we started this thing, so we have like fixed a time slot of 6 months. After every 6 months, we'll go to the school back and re-evaluate all the children with the spectacles if the number has increased or decreased. So that is something that is under process. So like in 1 or 2 months, we'll be going back after completing the whole 6 months and taking the forward.
How long has this project been in operation?
It's around 1 or 1.5.
1.5 years.
1.5 years, yes.
1.5 years. Okay.
So what are your resource mobilization? I'm coming back to that question again. In the next 3 years, what are your plans for resource mobilization for this particular project in Chandigarh?
So there are some organizations. So you must have heard about PNG. So we did collaborate with PNG also, and under their project, we covered some of the schools. And again, we are again planning to do the marathon again in next 1 or 2 months. After all the whole fund that will be generated by us in all these events, we'll be using that.
And this will also be one of the source because it can sponsor 15 schools.
And also we have got a grant from Coca-Cola. We are waiting for that grant right now. So once that is there, we'll be able to.
Yeah, that is around I think $80,000.
How many doctors are associated with you?
Right now there are two.
Two.
There was one, so due to some reason we had to talk to the other doctor.
And do you pay them?
Yeah.
How much?
So it's 1,000 rupees for one.
For 1 day.
1 day.
So sometimes it takes 2 days if the number of students is large, so we'll have to pay them 2,000. And for the spectacle person, we pay 150 rupees per spectacle. So it's not a like thing. It's not we will have to pay him the exact amount. It depends on the number of spectacles and the number of students that are.
So if you leave the spectacles part, what is the cost of one camp that you organize?
Apart from the spectacles, 1,000. 2,000. If we get, including the travel also. Yeah.
You don't give any medications?
Pardon?
No medications as such?
Thank you so much. That was a very good presentation. I would like to make a point. Guys, please stick to the time limit. It's only 5 minutes, so be very precise. So now moving on, the second project is from Mumbai Hub, the Boto project. So let's have Aditi on the stage.
Thank you guys for having us here. Thank you, jury, for giving us your time. I'm Aditi from the Mumbai Hub, and this is my dear friend.
Hi, I'm Kanika from the Mumbai Hub.
We'd like to start with a quick video for you guys.
मुंबई कौन चलाता है इस शहर? कलीना का राजू ऑटो वाला, जिसकी शायद आपने शक्ल भी ना देखी, या फिर उषा ताई जो रोज सुबह गोरेगांव स्टेशन के सामने फूल बेचती है, या कोलाबा के अख्तर भाई जो अपनी नुक्कड़ की दुकान पे पूजा की सामग्री बेचते हैं, या फिर सांता क्रूज की कैरोलीन जो ऑफिस के लिए रोज लेट होती है।
Sorry, we'll just start again because the audio didn't work there.
हम सबसे, और इन सब में कॉमन क्या है? ये सब मुंबई को अपना मानते हैं, इसको अपने कचरे से गंदा नहीं बेहतर बनाते हैं। आप भी इसका हिस्सा बन सकते हैं। बस एक 1.25 लीटर की कोल्ड ड्रिंक की बोतल में अपना सारा ड्राई प्लास्टिक वेस्ट टाइटली इकट्ठा करें और अपने नियरेस्ट आइनॉक्स सिनेमा पे ड्रॉप कर दें। हम इन सब बॉटल्स को कंस्ट्रक्शन ब्रिक्स की तरह यूज कर सकते हैं। इससे हम वर्सोवा बीच पे एक टॉयलेट का निर्माण करेंगे। आइए अपनी मुंबई को साफ रखें और कचरे को काम पे लगाएं।
So guys, the project that we want to talk about today is something we've been working on for the past 5 to 6 months or so. And it is called the Boto project, or the Bottle Toilet project. So the main... Can we have the clicker, please? Thank you. Okay, so the motto of our project is basically to upcycle non-biodegradable waste and completely remove it from the biosphere. That's basically the goal. And the project aims to address several sustainable development goals, including climate change, education, positive impact to aquatic life, etc. So we're impacting about 5 of those goals. Waste is a big problem in our country. I think I don't need to really talk about this too much. Each one of us generates every year waste that is about 3x of our own weight. So you can just imagine how much waste we are generating every year. And while awareness about generating less waste is one of the main things we're doing in our workshop, the key is to prevent the non-biodegradable waste from going into landfills and generating a lot of methane gases and carbon dioxide gases, and also from preventing it from going into oceans and basically harming aquatic life majorly. So that is the goal that we're trying to, the problem that we're trying to address. Now, how are we addressing this problem? Our solution is something called eco-bricks. So eco-bricks is a concept that was created in the Netherlands a while ago and has been actually implemented in the Netherlands as well as in Nepal. And so this is a proven concept. What we're actually going to do is we've been taking PET bottles, which are some of the least biodegradable substances in our world today, and we're actually stuffing it with other plastics like chips packets, candy packets, polythenes, etc. And we're actually making construction material out of it. So when, like you saw in the video, when a bottle of, say, 1.25 liter bottle is stuffed manually with these materials, it actually weighs 1.25 kilos and can be strong enough to be used to construct anything. It can be walls, it can be toilets, it can be libraries, schools, or even a bench. So there are three main phases to this project, and we're actually in the middle of phase 1 currently. Phase 1 is the hardest. It is the awareness building of how to create eco-bricks and the mindset change that we're creating in the people about how to manage their waste. The second phase is actually collecting these bottles from people, and the third phase is actually building the toilet. So we've actually collected already 6,000 bottles. We've partnered with an organization called Green Line, which manages about 150 low-income schools, and we've worked with about 50 of them to conduct workshops and collected about 6,000 bottles, thus impacting already about 6,000 homes. We are partnering with Inox Theatres to actually play this video before movie screenings. That's going to start in a couple of weeks to spread this awareness in the general public. And we're going to use a lot of social media platforms that reach millions of people weekly to also spread the message. Thank you, guys. We expect to finish collecting the bottles sometime by December end, and then start the process of quality check and construction, and actually have something tangible constructed by the end of March. This is how a construction using eco-bricks actually looks like. So as you can see, the bottles are not put this way. They're actually, it's vertical, and so it actually majorly reduces the plastic surface that's actually exposed to the environment. Also, by packing in the plastic inside sealed bottles, you are stopping the degradation process. So I think Kanika will talk a lot about the impact. We can move further.
Right, so just quickly, because I know we're running out of time, the impact that this project aims to create is across three main areas. So I think the first, as we know, is the environmental impact. We're hoping to at least get close to 30,000 PET bottles away from landfills, which will also lead to about 15,000 kgs of non-biodegradable waste away from landfills. The second focus area is really to make behavior change, so to help people understand how they can use their waste better. And we've already done this, like Aditi said, with about 6,000 bottles, and I'm almost done, and about 25,000 people. And finally is our attempt and our ambition is to build toilets with this and create access to sanitation. So I'll stop here. Quick proof, it's been tested in Kathmandu by someone from our team who was part of the construction there. And secondly, 91% of all plastic is actually not recycled, and this is a better alternate use of plastic. Okay. Thank you.
entirely agree with this biodegradable plastic PET, as you know it. There are many other uses apart from the bricks. Have you explored opportunities there? And what has been your outreach, the employment generation?
Yes, sir. So we have actually explored other opportunities. See, what we wanted to do is, and also why we think that this project really fits the Gandhian, mentality, is that it's extremely community-centric and it's very in harmony of how we already live, right? So there is no technology required for this. Today can start with a PET bottle and can start just filling my waste in it every day. So kids have done this in their families. That's how we work with schools, we work with corporates, and we work with colleges as well. So our outreach is not actually in the form of employment generation. Our outreach is in the form of everybody here, like you and me, learning how to sustainably control and channel their plastic and remove it from the biosphere. So we are not trying to take the plastic away from the kabadiwalas and the rag pickers and the recyclables, right? But the key to the matter is that when plastic is recycled, most people don't realize, first of all, that 91% of plastic in our country is actually not recycled, does not go to the kabadiwalas. And even when it does, there's only 1 or 2 cycles of recycling, after which it becomes not even good enough to make plastic pellets. Then it ends up in the landfill or it ends up in the oceans. So this is a better method because, as I said, as Kanika said, the bricks have a life of 400 years, and even once, say one toilet is built or one bench is built, even when it's broken down, the bricks will still be used for future. So the employment that we are generating is literally for construction, but we expect the communities to actually do the construction themselves.
Yeah, great concept. Mumbai is a big city. Once you get people actually filling in the bottles, what is your system of collection or picking up? Have you thought through that?
Yes, absolutely. So we have collection centers at 10 Inox locations where we are putting up these big, branded sort of boxes for people to drop off. We're also partnering with corporates for collection. Then we have to use tempos and get the bricks to the construction site. And we're working on 2 construction sites currently on getting the proper permissions, etc. One is in the Versova Beach slums, where we're working with the BMC. And the second is with the tribals in RA Colony, where it might be easier because the land is owned by the tribals. But yet again, I just want to mention that toilet is one thing that we want to build, and it takes 6,000 bottles to build one toilet. But our aim is that communities, if tomorrow they want to build a local park and benches, or if they want to even build huts or sheds, they can actually easily do this themselves. They'll only need a mason to come and do the cement work with it.
I had one question. What is the binding material that you're going to use to bind the bottles together?
So basically cement is the main binding material, and there's also some nylon thread that's used to make the structure earthquake resistant because it's extremely shock absorbing.
One small caution here is that plastic emanates a lot of fumes when it is exposed to very high temperatures, which you're going to use in the construction, so it will be exposed to very high temperatures. And if you see at all the approaches where bottles are being used for construction, they are either filled with earth, mud, or with ash, or with water. So that, they emit less of fumes and they easily control the temperature. So here it will be plastic again.
Yeah, that's right. So there is some, I don't know the exact technicals, but we are working with the team in Netherlands to make sure that that doesn't happen, that because of the cement, etc., the bottles are not really exposed to the temperature change. We have done some tests for Mumbai rains as well, that the structures will be able to survive. But that's a very good point and something that we need to keep in mind.
Above 36 degrees, it becomes carcinogenic. Yes. Plastic.
So the one thing we know, and we're still working with them, the surface area of exposed plastic in this would be significantly lesser because it's PET bottles. And that's another way to sort of make them resistant to these conditions. Having said that, like Aditi and I are not fully clued in on the tech aspect of it. So
that's why I asked why what's the binding material, because anyways cement absorbs and transmits a lot of heat. Right. So it will do that to the bottle as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep that in mind and we can come back to you on that answer.
Although I am not a jury, but being a technical part, I am basically I am a plastic technologist. So now I am surprising how you are going to this have, that's Dr. has already said that things. So for technical part, you go for ICT, Institute of Chemical Technology, Matunga, Mumbai University. Either you can contact with Central Institute of Plastic Engineering Technology, Chennai, or Aurangabad they have center, Ahmedabad they have center. Bhopal we do have a separate testing lab is there. So you can have with association with these institutions for technical guidance things.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful. Thank you. That was really inspiring and such a great project and very good presentation. We are having a very good grilling session as well, where such good questions are put up. So let's move on, and the next is the Ahmedabad Hub, shaping education. Where's the mic?
Mic is with your hands. Good afternoon, everyone. Even good morning. I will not take much time in introduction. We are from Ahmedabad Hub. My name is Monica, Aditi, we have Harmeet, we have Pranav. Our project is Shaping Education, under which we have 4 initiatives. Now, I stay here? Yeah. That's it. So the idea, so when we started as a shapers, we all work on different areas and different skill sets. And we thought, we see many problems around us. And the solution was that to change the younger generation or to educate them in a way which they have not received till now. So we decided that we will work on creating open source educational materials for everyone, which on the topics which is not included in syllabus. We don't include what is the science of menstruation, or we don't include that what men feel in the society and how they want to communicate, and many topics. So we thought let's include and create educational material, because we see many shapers here, many hubs. We want to collaborate and do it everywhere, these projects. So I will start. So one project will be shared by our colleagues. I will start with Men Talk. Men Talk is by Aditi.
Yes, so like the name suggests, Men Talk is a platform for the men to talk. We live in a patriarchal society, so it has become a part of our routine, and we don't even realize when we say dialogues like, "Arey ro kyun raha hai? Ladki hai kya? Why are you crying? Are you a girl?" Or stuff like, "Mard ban ja, ladki ko bolte hain." So we tell a girl ki, "Come on, be a man." And this is the subtle way wherein we introduce gender discrimination in our society. So that is the basic problem that we intend to target with Men Talk. And why Men Talk? Because we want the men to talk. And we believe that that is the only way to start this entire process of the thought change for the stereotypes that exist in our society. The picture that you see there on the screen is from one of our very initial workshops that we did for Men Talk in Ahmedabad. Our target would primarily be men, but given the situation where we would be going to colleges and talking to young students, we intend to keep it gender neutral at the moment. What do we intend to do next? We have partnered with a community radio station called Radio Nazaria, and we are planning to do a radio show with them. And how this would work is we would have volunteers, and we would train them. They would do the show, they would become the facilitators and carry the message forward. We are intending to do college workshops wherein we would have a lot of role plays, wherein the boys would actually feel what it feels to be a girl and vice versa. And we intend to go to young fellows who are doing their fellowships in Ahmedabad and repeat the same process with them. That's the project Mentalk from our umbrella project, Shaping Education.
Okay, the next initiative is Bookbox. So why Bookbox was invented, because we all know, almost everyone in the room know what is the condition of municipal schools in India. And the children, they don't inculcate the habit of reading creative story books, and other than their own textbooks. So we created do-it-yourself kits, and we conduct workshop with slum children and municipal schools. They make their own libraries called small book boxes. They paint their own. So how we do it is we upcycle waste plastic containers and create book boxes for them. We get we get books from collection drives in the city, and we also partner with the other colleges who can, and other, like local people in the city donate us books, and we inculcate habit of reading in children. That is Bookbox.
Yeah, the project I'm talking about under the Shaping Education is Swajan Suraksha. Let me share an incident. One of a fellow shepherd was at a construction site. Then an accident happened, and one of a worker in that accident died. It was a very enormous moment for a shaper community that we couldn't help that shaper, but we eventually raised some fund for the family of that worker. That was a very eye-opening thing for us, in a way that there are schemes of a government and an insurance which the workers are not able to take part of. Considering that, we have developed a project which is Swajan Suraksha, which is to educate and benefit the people of an unorganized, semi-urban, urban and rural area to consider this project. In this project, there are...
stop.
Sorry, just a second. In this project, there are quite often incidences precisely wherein we are using the schemes which are developed by the government, especially the Prime Minister's initiative, which are the Pradhan Mantri's
we'll not have question answers.
Jeevan Jyoti Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. So just a brief of it, what I'm talking about is that we are trying to cope up with the NSS student, and reaching to 1 lakh people is our target. Currently, we have done with the 500 people as of now, the hand-to-hand insurance. Thank you.
Okay. So the last, if I can introduce. Yeah. Okay. So that is a question. Awesome. Let's switch to the question. Okay. So the roadmap for the projects. So we are going to include them on our website, and all the educational material we create. So through the content in Mentalk, through audio content, then in Bookbox, how to make library. So we are teaching teachers that how to make library on your own and how to raise books, so that for
Swajan Suraksha, we are teaching the NSS students through the toolkit and making them educate for a hand-holding process for a labor class, from a bank account to having an insurance scheme on his hand.
So the point is that you can download all this toolkit from the website, and you can. Yes.
Yeah, please, please, please.
आप जिस समाज की बात कर रहे हो, आप जिस समाज की बात कर रहे हो, वहाँ पे ऐसे mentalks की जरूरत है. How do you reach that end man, that population that actually does all these things? You go to the slums. What is that?
Yeah. So Radio Nazaria would come into picture there. That's a community radio station which is based out of a very rural location in Ahmedabad, and it has a reach of 12 to 15 kilometers. And that students that I talked about, who we would be training them as facilitators, are also students from the same area, because they would ultimately be listening to that community radio station, and they stay there, they study from there, and they don't have such a platform. So that's the entire idea that is in the mind.
Have you already set that up, or it's just an idea?
The associations have been set up. The production process for the radio show is in process. So we would roll out as soon as we get back.
Setting up a community radio costs a lot.
No, sir. The community radio station already exists. We have partnered with them as community partners.
In all the 4 projects, we are mainly looking at collaboration. So it happens on we develop content, and the things started happening through collaboration.
We usually try to be a think tank for each of a project, and try to partner with either with the big organizations, big institutions, or with even the interns.
These are 4 smaller projects.
Yeah.
So how does a global shaper in Ahmedabad, for instance, how do they choose what they work with, or how do you get the shaper community to align with a particular project, or does everybody work on everything?
Yeah, precisely. It is so that everybody has its own line of interest and even their ability to do so it. So we really try to build a team of each of a group of shapers. Those are having an inclination and even though their ability and capability to make the most out of for that project.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. That's a lot of work. So the next on our list is Pune Hub, Project Connect.
Give them equal time, then we are doing discretionary.
I'll make sure I keep it to 5 minutes. Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Sudarshan. I'm from the Pune Hub and we're going to talk about Project Connect. Now, when I was in 7th grade, my family shifted from a very small town to a bigger city, Akola. And I realized the growth that happened the most because I was connected to people that I had not met before. I experienced the same when I came to Global Shapers and I met people from Dhaka, I met people from Mumbai, I met people from Ahmedabad and I saw the amazing work that they're doing. So the more you connect with people, the more you realize that there's so much more. Your aspirations improve and you start working harder as well. That's what we're looking at in Project Connect. Now, we're looking at the Sustainable Development Goal 10 of reduced inequalities. Now, inequalities are of different kinds. What we are looking at is the socio-economic inequality. Now, where do these begin? I think they begin when the kids are small at school level. There are a lot of amazing organizations who are going to government schools, improving the standard of education. But what happens is there are teachers that go to government schools. So schools, as such, are still bubbles. Is it not? We have private school students who stay in their bubbles. We have government school students who stay in their bubbles. So there are a lot of organizations that go to government schools and improve the quality of education there, but the bubbles still remain. And as they keep growing older, the bubbles will just become stronger. So what Project Connect tries to do is to bring both the students of these two schools into one environment where they can interact with each other. Now, how do we do this? We've set up a very simple program where we get students from a government school and a private school to go to each other's school every second week for a 2-hour facilitated session. This isn't a one-time thing. This happens throughout the year. Now, if I can get the volume up. So this is a 1-minute video of one of the sessions. We've got kids from Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay, which is a government school. They're heading to a school that is very close by. It's Dr. Kalmadi High School. It's a private school. We've managed to capture some of the videos. We got the kids together. These are 15 students from both the schools each into a facilitated session. Now these sessions we don't teach them. We don't teach them math, science, because I think there are better people to do that. All that we're trying to do is create an environment where the kids can develop friendships. That's it. So they paint together, they draw together, they study poetry together, they play music together. And while they're doing that, they realize, hey, the person from a government school is just the same as I am. Right? Anything that you would do when you were a child is being done here. The difference being, you're doing it with somebody that you otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to talk to. And again, as I said, this isn't a one-time thing. This happens throughout the year. What we've also started is something called a mail Joel program. So the kids from both the schools write letters to each other, put it in the post box. Our volunteers deliver it to the students from the other schools as well. So this way, the kids keep talking to each other, not just during the sessions, but also between. And during the question answer round, I can tell you a little bit more about this, because what we observed while this was happening was something really, really amazing. Next, please. So I'll quickly get to how we got here, what the current status is. Thank you, I appreciate it. How we got here, this isn't a widespread program. We're targeting just 30 kids, 15 from one school, 15 from other. But we're looking to go deep. This isn't a one-session program. This happens throughout the year. So we've got both the schools on board to commit to an entire year. What we want to do is make sure that these kids are from 5th standard. We want to make sure these kids are with us in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And later, even when we are not there, they're still talking to each other. Now, how we've developed this has been 1 year in the making. We've had a lot of queries at our end. We've had a lot of conflicts. Will this be the right way to go? We've consulted with a lot of people who've worked in education. And in the question answer session, if you'd like, I can tell you more. Currently, as I said, 30 kids. The future is not in magnitude, at least not for us. What we want to do is create a process that anyone can follow and create this at your end. So schools can do it by themselves, other shapers can do it by themselves.
Time is over.
Sure.
Let's start with the question.
I can see that you are very passionate about it.
I can tell you why.
There is a lot of commitment on your part. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Currently, there is no employment generation. Employment generation.
Okay.
So you have not told us anything. How do you create any employment? And so that is one part. Second is, what resources have you already mobilized and the roadmap?
Sure. So one question was about, has there been any employment generation? Second is, what resources have you mobilized? Employment generation, that is not our target right now. What we're looking at is something very, very specific. Reduced inequalities. How you do that is by connecting to people from different places. Our target group is further smaller. It's just kids. That to 30 kids from grade 5. So employment generation, right now, everybody who's a part of it is a volunteer. There's actually been zero money spent on the entire program. I can tell you where we're going to use the funds. We have made a slide on that. But there's been zero money utilized. The one place where we thought we would want money is the transportation. And we figured out a very simple plan for it. We worked with a local cooperator. She's a stakeholder in this. And we've identified schools, private and public, which are very close to each other. So we've reduced the cost on just the transportation. Everybody who volunteers is a volunteer. And everybody who volunteers has to actually go through an orientation program. Why? Because we want to make sure that even if we do a very small program, it's effective and it's long-term for everyone involved.
So can you just share with us some of the big issues that you've come up with? I think that'll be good to know.
So the question was about what are the big issues that we had to come up with. One thing that we discussed a lot in our team was, is this the right way to go? Right? Government school kids will feel the moment I go to a private school, these people have everything. Right? Would it not further increase the inequalities? But the thing is, we sometimes underestimate how sensitive kids can be. They learn how to not be sensitive as they grow up. So the first thing that we observed, when this is something that I was going to show, but maybe later. So the child here is from a government school, and he went back and he said, their school's better than their toilet is better than our school. And we said, okay. And then he continued and said, I was going to show that in the video, but they were just like us. Right? I spoke to him and even he liked Sachin Tendulkar, I liked Sachin Tendulkar. So what we thought was the fact that they're so different would be further exacerbated if they see that they're different. But it turns out that they see that they're different and they see only their differences when they're outside. The moment they talk to each other, they realize, hey, this student's just like me. So that was one challenge. Second challenge was the principal of the private school said, we'll have to get permissions from the parents because we don't know whether the parents will allow. We sent in 15 applications. All 15 of them agreed to it. We sent in applications to the government school kids also. So it's a proper process-based thing. We've got permissions from the local cooperator, the principals, we've got the parents on board. And every single time, after every single session, we have KPIs that we look at. How many number of kids say, do I want to come back again? How many letters are written in the Mail Joel program? Now, this was what is fantastic. I'll tell you what was fantastic. There were 15 kids from the private school, 15 kids from the government school. There were more than 15 letters sent from the private school. And we wondered why, and we wondered what happened. And then we figured the kids were writing it in the private school. They were telling their friends, hey, I went to this program. And all the other kids who were not a part of the program also started writing letters. So they're writing letters, and they don't know the name. So they write, dear friend, I heard that you met my friend Kaushal. And I want to meet you the next time as well. So that was one issue that... So going forward, a big challenge that we're looking to kind of mitigate with the funds that we get is just making sure that the tracking happens a lot more effectively.
Okay, sorry, I have another question. Yeah. What's your plan going forward in terms of scaling? You're working with 30 now.
Sure. So in terms of scaling, we don't think we can do it alone. We do not want to do it alone because I think if we do it alone, there are a lot of things that we might not be able to do. Dr. Noel at the start said in the 5 A's of leadership, he said ambition and ability. Ambition should be there, ability you might not have right now, so look for people around you and connect with them. So what I'm looking at right now is to create best case practices, create repositories of what can be done, and then just open it up for anybody who wants to do this at their end. Now that is where we require funds. Currently we have a volunteer who actually maintains an Excel sheet which tracks which child has written a letter to whom. Right? Because we want to make sure no child feels that, hey, I haven't got a letter. Now that can be digitized. And we have a system that anybody else can then log into and use that. You have everything required to run this all by yourself. That's where we'll use the funds.
One last question. Any way that you have thought of how do you measure the impact after X number of years?
Sure. Number one, there are some things that we've not figured out. There are some things after every single session, we have conversation with every single child asking them, how did you feel? Do you want to go back? That's one metric. If we get 15 yeses, that means we're doing something right. We keep asking them, what are the things you would like to do? We track the number of letters written. Interestingly, the number of letters written to each other is a very good indicator of how well the kids are connecting with each other. So in the future, what we want to do is, this is something I learned from Dr. Lokhande, who runs this organization called Rural Relations, who keeps a track of every single, the impact points and the data points are very well categorized. We want to do that. We want to keep a track of how many letters are written. How many percentage of the kids write letters? Is there any percentage that has not written a letter? And if yes, why not? So that's where I think the impact assessment will come in. Of course, we don't have all the answers. So if you have any other suggestions, I'd be more than happy
to. So one small suggestion here, yes, what you're talking about is the quantitative impact.
That's
right?
correct.
The qualitative impact here is much more than the quantitative.
Absolutely.
One. And for that, you can take the help of clinical psychologists who can do a pre-test and a post-test after the event and after a certain point of time to see what has been the kind of psychological changes in children of both the schools.
That's great. Just a little bit to add, Dr. Sumitra Bhave, who recently won the National Award for CASAV, is also doing a lot of work in child education. She's one of our consultants, so she has helped us develop this also. I'll definitely take this into considerations and you'll see this in action immediately.
Yeah, thank you. You and I got to learn a lot of things from you because being a part of the rural thing, I performed a lot of these urban-rural interactions. So as in more than like 1,000 kids and teachers and doctors have come to our place and they interact with the students. So I think this is a very good initiative. So
thank you.
Keep on doing the good work. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. That's such a good presentation. And we were all moved. And I think we can carry forward the conversations after the competition as well, so you guys can connect over the lunch. But moving forward, the next project is a Trillionaire project from Bhopal Hub. So,
I'm from Bangladesh, and as you all know, climate change is the biggest problem in our country right now. And not just for our country. It's the biggest problem for my generation and our entire planet. And the thing that amazes me the most is that youth, people of our generation who are not responsible for it, are going to be bearing the brunt of it. So it's essential that we engage them starting from now to actually be advocates of climate action. And that's the reason we came up with this project. Project Trillionaire, what does it intend to do? It wants to do something very simple, something that everyone can do at an individual level to engage and try to solve this problem of climate change, which is SDG 13. Now, there are many projects that are complex and complicated, and mitigation adaptation being implemented by development organizations. We don't have the manpower or the skills to do that. So we're doing something very simple. The very core of what causes climate change. We're going to plant more trees. Now, how is that going to happen? First of all, at a hub level, we as the shapers, what we're going to do, the 30 of us in Dhaka Hub, we're going to go, so before I go into that, so basically there are two aspects of it. One is plantation, the other is to make young people aware of how they can be advocates of change. So how we're going to do it is, if you go to the next slide, there are three aspects of it. The first aspect is engage. So we're going to engage young people. How we do it is by going to schools. So what we've proposed is every month we go to a new school, let's say on 12 schools by the end of the year, and we talk to the kids in the school. We talk to them about what they can do at an individual level, why climate change is happening, and what they can do to actually reduce their carbon footprint. Followed by that, we're actually lucky to have one of our shapers who runs a social enterprise, which is focused entirely on tree plantation, and he does it at a commercially viable level. So we're going to have people, volunteers from his organization, as well as others in our hub who work in the climate change space, to conduct workshops with these kids to make them aware of why plantation can make a difference, how mitigation happens. So we can tag with nature clubs, if they're existing in the schools, and basically we want to have some representatives from each school who will be sort of the guardians of the trees we plant. One of the key issues is space. So in a city like Dhaka, as you know, there's almost no space available. We tried to plant, and that was the main issue that came up. So what we're going to do, that's part of the reason we picked schools. Because we can use the ground the school has, the surrounding area, and we can also use the rooftops. And the schools in general are very cooperative for a venture like this. So that's the first step, engage. Now comes the next step, amplify. Of course, you're thinking that, a group of shapers, how many schools or how many kids can you reach? This is where our next part comes in. We want to have a platform, a web-based platform, where we can actually have, it's called the Green Hub, the website, where we can share the information of what we're doing and also encourage more citizens and youth around the country, who we may not be able to reach, to sort of replicate what we're doing in the city. So what's going to happen is, let's say you at an individual level, you're in some faraway district. You can plant a tree in your school, you can post a photo of it, and you can post a video if you have the technology available on this site. And there's going to be a simple bar, as you can see on the top. The bar is a way to not only gamify the event by making a sense of urgency of like how many trees am I planting, a clear way of measuring what has been done so far. So let's say what we can have is different competitions. We can have a leaderboard where different kids from different schools can compete with each other of like how many trees are we planting, or it can even be a city-based competition. So this is a way to amplify the impact in a way we, the shapers alone, will not be able to do it by engaging citizens. Now comes the last step, which actually is celebrate. So we've seen that people work the best when their efforts get recognized. Everyone loves a little bit of recognition. So what we're going to do, we're going to have some awards, like Planeteers Award for the kids, the kid who plants the most trees, the school who plants the most trees, even individuals, young people. We can have campaign with celebrities where we can invite some of these young kids to share their stories. This is a way to, mass media campaigns, TV shows, a way to give them a way to showcase the good they've done for society. So this is a way just not only encouraging the good work, but also encouraging people who may not otherwise find this that interesting in itself. They could see it as a way to maybe become a public figure. I think we think that's all fine. As long as you're doing the good cause, and whatever gets you to get there, we'll do it. So basically these 3 steps together, we think will have a significant impact which we, the shapers alone, will not be able to do in terms of climate mitigation and building a more green society. Thank you.
While I compliment you, I should mention, there is a lot you can do about innovation. And when I'm talking of innovation, I am talking about the technological disruption which is taking place. Because you're right now focusing more on the urban areas. So in the urban areas, there is a whole lot of scope on urban farming.
Right.
So don't just confine yourselves to tree plantation. There are a whole lot of other things. Pomiculture, floriculture, and it goes on. Then the second technological disruption is you are going to have something known as hydroponics. You must have heard about this. So it is said that in the next 50 years, most of the production, crop production will happen in urban areas. So this is where you can be much more innovative. Just a suggestion.
Absolutely. So I'm actually glad you brought that up. I couldn't talk about that in a presentation because of shortage of time. Our shaper who I mentioned before, he actually would have done the presentation, couldn't come because of visa issues. He's the one who leads the initiative. His social enterprise actually focuses on the 2 things you mentioned. They do a lot of rooftop farming. They do hydroponics as well. And the reason we thought of this project in the first place was because we thought we could capitalize on the linkage with his organization. Because we by ourselves would probably not have the knowledge, the know-how, or the manpower. But because they're already doing that at a social enterprise level, we could basically tag along with their ventures, and once we have built the capacity and then sort of do it on our own. So definitely, I think going ahead, that could be a great way to go.
So how many trees have been planted so far?
So this is for the concept stage project, promising idea. So, but if you ask about our shapers intervention, they have already planted 300,000 trees around the city in 3,113 rooftops. And they've reached about 225 schools so far.
What has been your experience when you talk to children about the tree plantations and you take them? So just tell us some experience, both positive and negative.
Yeah, sure. I think it also varies a lot on the kid's background. So I think depends on what your priorities are, or like what are the challenges you're facing. So let's say when I talk to a kid from madrasa, like a religious institution, where most of the underprivileged kids go, they're maybe not as maybe moved by an issue of climate change, which seems maybe far away or not as relatable. So we have to really start from the very bottom and talk about like the impacts of climate change and what has happened at your individual level. Like, you know, do you see weather patterns changing? Do you see this and that? So I think the time taken to build that basic level of understanding varies by maybe the socioeconomic background of the child. Whereas if you go to an English medium school in Dhaka, they already know the basics. It's super easy. I mean, you can just mention climate change, they already know what it is. So you can immediately delve into the plantation aspect of it. So I think that's like also an area where we need to work on. That's part of the reason we had the sessions as part of the project, because I think sometimes you need to build a buy-in to begin with, because not everyone is on the same page about why climate change is important. And that's the main challenge. Any more questions? Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was pretty much on time. She finished 4 minutes, 52 seconds. So thank you so much. Now moving on, last but not the least one, Bangalore Hub presenting Samudaya.
About Samudaya, which is our submission for the Gandhi Change Grant. Bangalore, to bring a little perspective, has a unique problem. We have more people online talking about issues than we have people in line going out and voting on them. Right? To bring a more context to it, in the last general elections, which happened in 2013, there were 35 lakh people who came out and voted from the Bangalore urban and the rural area. Vis-a-vis, if you compare it to the active number of users on Facebook for Bangalore, that's 3.56 crores. So that's a difference of 10 times, right? So what we're trying to okay, till he fixes that, don't worry, I'm not going to use it anyways for now. So what we realized that civic participation among youth in countries like India is not less due to the lack of, is not low due to citizen apathy. It is instead low because the information available today is not fine-tuned for the current generation, right? So to give you are no longer pull, they are push. So when I say pull, a consumer does not go out, search, find information, and then figure out what needs to be done. Instead, companies figure out mechanisms in which they are able to send out information to consumers, which they can receive and process and go about with it. What we've tried to do is do something similar with Samudaya. Samudaya is not just a machine learning natural language processing chatbot. It is revolutionary in terms of how we are looking at distributing information. Now, what we've leveraged is Facebook Messenger, which is essentially being used by around 24 crore people in India. And on top of that, we've built a small chatbot. Now, this reason we've used Facebook Messenger is the intent was we wanted to go where the users are and not shift users to a different platform. By using chatbot as an interface, till that gets set up, by using chatbot as an interface, what we've tried to do is we've tried to reduce the amount of effort any individual has to put in to derive information, right? And the chatbot in itself is powered by artificial intelligence. Now, when I say that, what this essentially does is every question that every user is putting to it, the chatbot is understanding the question, figuring out what's the right solution that needs to be given out, answers which it's not able to understand, it's highlights so that there's someone at the back end which is picking it up and fixing it. Okay, right? And as more number of users are using it, the impact or the learning or the accuracy of the chatbot to respond increases. Okay. Not those systems. नहीं ये browser चाहिए बस. Okay, so what I was essentially live already. Okay, yeah. नहीं दूसरा वाला मैं कर लूँगा. Cool. So I will have to strain a bit. I'm not able to look at this here. Right? So basically, this is going to answer or respond to whatever we put to it. Something like as simple as why should I a full-fledged response, right? Something as simple as how do I apply for a voter ID card. So I just say how do I apply. Will give you a response of how you need to go about applying it. So if you actually look at this, this is quite detailed. It's going to be telling you where you need to go, what are the kind of forms you need to pick up. So if you look at, say, something like Form 6 and you don't understand what it is, so you just say, what is Form 6?
One.
Okay, it's going to turn up in some time. So it's essentially going to respond with what the Form 6 is and stuff like that, right? So it's here. So it says what is Form 6, what is Form 6. So what we've essentially tried to do is simplify this so that anyone can go ahead and use it. Now, what we are looking at specifically doing with the Gandhi Grant Award, in case it comes by, is 4 specific things. We're looking at scaling this to other platforms. We're looking at bringing this on WhatsApp because WhatsApp recently opened its API to allow us to do something similar. We're looking at bringing this to Twitter and Telegram. Right? The other thing we're looking at is building an ecosystem. For a project of this sort to actually be successful, you need it to be partnered with a lot of people. We're looking at, organizing hackathons where better, sharper minds can actually work on it and make it much better, right? The third thing that we're looking at doing is increasing the scope of the project. So right now, this is very specific to voter registrations because we have the elections happening in Karnataka sometime early next year. So this is built with that intent. But we are looking at exploring this to expand it. So we're looking at allowing it to answer simple questions like, okay, well, last points, right? So simple questions like how do you register your Aadhaar card with your bank account or stuff like that. And the last point is we're looking at taking it vernacular. Before I open up to questions, this is one last note. So what we are hoping to do with this is we're hoping to have a government of the people, for the people, and accessible by the people. Yeah.
So, quick question. I was trying to gauge the social impact.
Yeah.
What I could perceive, this is basically what you're doing is aggregation. Like
Yes.
Uber.
Yes.
Is it not?
Yes.
Now the question is that already, on Google, I can check what is Form 6. So there, I don't find much of an innovation to that extent. But still, there are a whole lot of applications which are already in the marketplace.
Correct.
Who are your competitors?
Correct. So we've actually...
So, would like to know what is the breakthrough disruption which you would like to bring in this application?
So what we've essentially looking at doing is, through this chatbot mechanisms, there are multiple ways in which we can push out information. So the user base, which the messenger is able to reach out to, is about 3.5 crores in Bangalore in particular. And the facilities that it allows us to do in the back end is we are able to shoot out notifications to these user bases. We are able to allow them to specifically answer questions. Now, I'm very aware that, if one second, if I could complete. So I'm very aware that you're able to figure this out on Google. But let's take a very simple example. One of the shaper in Bangalore is a friend of mine, and he's a male. But his voter ID card has him registered as a female. And he really doesn't know how to switch the gender from female to male. If you are going to Google it, you're not going to get the answer. So what we've managed to do, a lot of information which is available with the government, we've actually compiled all of it. We've got all of that together in one place, and we've put it in a mechanism which is easy for people to access and get information out.
So on this, my only point is that there is a dangerous territory
Yeah.
you're entering in. When you answer a question, you might make a mistake, like you did it here. I'll tell you the mistake. When you're talking about voting,
Yeah.
you said it is your right. It's not a right, it's a duty, for example.
Fair enough. So, no, I completely agree with that. So that's the reason we're looking at crowdsourcing this. We have this proofreaded. We have right now running a public beta where about 400 users are going through this, giving it dummy questions to figure out the kind of responses which are coming. But yes, we will definitely get into that territory.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was really inspiring to know so many good projects, and we'll move forward to felicitate our judges. We could not hear from them because of short of time, but there are gift hampers from Khadi India that we would like to present to you. I would call Sakshi to present the hampers to our esteemed judges. Yeah. We would like to call the judges on the stage so that we can have a group picture as well. Also, Sanjeev Rana ji and Chaudhary sir on stage. Thank you so much, everyone, because it was really inspiring and itne अच्छे questions aa rahe the. So I would like Sakshi to present the memento to Sujana ma'am. Now I would like Sakshi to present it to Pradeep, sir. To Dr. Anup Swaroop ji. And to Ms. Bhakti Sharma. I would also like Sakshi to felicitate Sir Rana ji with the stole from MP Tourism. To Chaudhary ji. Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience. I know everybody is so hungry right now, so we can move on for our lunch. And thank you so much. We'll wait for the results. We'll announce it in the closing ceremony. We have to be back by 4 o'clock. Here, we'll be starting the next